in the morning. You got me up all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening. Wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking again and again. Argue about everything. You are my darling. This kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day. I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say
he was here living in America because of the gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
Listen, man, some of these modern women, there's nothing that you can do about it. Some of it is narcissism, and some of it is thinking that they're better than you. Go find women that will love you and respect you and honor you and see you as the great man that you are. Because remember this, they would have called Jesus Dusty if he was living here in America. Because $75,000 just ain't enough.
Hi folks, the Filipina P here. And today's question is, what do women think of men who leave their home countries to seek love in foreign lands? Well, apparently there's quite a war of words going on between a certain segment of Western women and men who pursue international relationships. It seems there's a lot of animosity against these guys, with name-calling and outrageous accusations. The conflict centers around a movement called the Passport Bros, who are typically black guys who have gotten fed up with the situation in the West and decided to look elsewhere for a happy life. Now, even though the Passport Bros are mostly African Americans, I think you'll recognize the same tactics being used to shame any guy who dares to dream of finding a better mate overseas. So what are these women saying about the men?
Passport Bros go to third world countries and purchase little girls and turn her into a breeding mare. They're little girls, you're sick.
Hey, who you calling a little girl?
What do you rate me?
Is that what we're starting out with?
Yeah.
I don't typically rate people. I ask if they rate themselves.
With average looking women, off rip. If you do see them, they got their average looking woman when they were both really young and he built his way up. But a man earning the kind of money you're talking about does not go for an average looking woman.
I mean, my body is not average, so.
But ma'am, you please don't make me say it.
Say what? I really just wanted some advice. I love your.
Yeah, I'm giving you advice, but you're not taking it. The advice is, ma'am, you're average looking at best.
I'm taking it in, but.
Okay, but you're not accepting the fact that. Okay. Average looking women, average looking woman who's older, average looking older woman with a 13-year-old son, average looking woman with a 13-year-old son with a sketchy baby daddy. This gets worse every time I say something. And now you're asking for a man who's in the top 10% of men. You don't qualify for one.
Measures about group therapy. One was called corrective recapitulation. That's just a fancy way of saying I'm going to go back in my past and correct what was done to me. So now black men, in the former context of emoting, what they're doing now is saying, for so many years, you had the power to say what you wanted to say towards me. But now I got the mic and I'm going to say what I need to say. But you know what I find amazing, Obsidian? Many times we rate men that are handsome. When Barack Obama ran for president, they say he was fine, he was handsome. So anytime the rating is positive, it's not a problem. But when the rating is bad, then it's a problem. You see the dichotomy?
Right.
You can rate me if it's a positive rating, but if it's a negative rating, then you can't rate me. And that's a problem. That's a problem, I'm saying, because yeah, that's very schizoid. That's schizoid thinking. That's very schizoid in nature. And see, we live in a world now, I'm saying, where our women lack self-reflection. They lack self-introspection. And because of that, men are saying now, you know what, in the proper context, in the proper form of more or less deliberating what I deem to be necessary, I'm going to deliberate it, and I'm going to deliberate it expeditiously. And because of that, so many they're not used to it. They're not used to hearing men speak. There's a young man by the name of Obi. He said that Kevin Samuels started the conversation. And now men have begun to start the conversation. What Kevin was saying was nothing new. It just that it was amplified because it was in YouTube and social media. These conversations have been had or been saying for a long time.
Shout out to you, Marcus. It says, I'm back. The DR was everything I was told. Mad when I just wanted to chill. Took care of me and my friends. Going back in December, y'all gotta go. Another one. Damn. Hold on. Y'all, hold on. It's too many flights in the air right now. Hold on, y'all. It's too many flights in the air right now. Can we please save some for the legitimate good Black women here in America? Let me beg. Baby, I'm begging, baby, I'm begging, baby. Baby, I'm begging, baby, I'm begging, baby. Hold on. Let me beg on behalf of my American Black women, not the real women's. Let me beg on behalf of my American Black sisters. Are y'all meaning to tell me that the real women's have messed it up for the quality Black women? Oh, Lord. I can't take it. Baby, I'm begging, baby. Lord have mercy. Oh, y'all meaning to tell me that the bang, not the bang, the Lord Farquaad wigs and the vampire in Brooklyn, lace front, wet and weighty with the beard to match, bitch. Are you meaning to tell me that the botched body BBL bitches with a Cynthia underneath the Lord Farquaad wigs? Oh, Lord, with the Vivica Fox cheeks, bitch. Are y'all meaning to tell me that they have fucked it up for the quality American Black women's? I said, baby, I'm begging, baby. Can y'all please bring the airplanes down? We still have a few survivors. Don't let them die. Don't let them die, damn it. Don't do it. Ricky! Is it over? Let me do this. Y'all laughing? I'm dead serious. Hold on. Let me do this. Can y'all put an 8 in the chat if it's over? Lord have mercy. Put an 8 in the chat if it's over.
Passport bros. And I went down a TikTok rabbit hole, seeing exactly what was going on with this. And I have a difference of opinion than all the other videos I've seen from women, especially Black women. I don't care that they exist. I'm going to say 2 things. I'm married now, so I'm not dating. But even in the last part of my dating life, I wouldn't have cared because I stopped caring about a lot of stuff that didn't have nothing to do with me. Oh, I understand the sentiment. I understand that men are looking for more traditional values than women. This quote unquote feminine energy that they feel is lacking in American women and specifically Black women. Let's not play like they're not talking about Black women specifically. Black men say Black women aren't submissive, but they didn't treat her like they treated the foreign women that they tried to date, where they were gentlemen and overly gracious and overly alpha and overly like spending all kinds of money. because they don't mind doing that in the foreign country. But here, like, a date is too much because gold diggers, right? So it's just a lot. I'm like, well, you're not getting that response because you're not giving the same behavior, but that's a whole nother video. But ultimately, I don't feel any type of way about the passport bros because you find your happiness where you find it. And if they have trouble dating in the United States, that is best suited for them. And I have no problem with that. And women, same thing. If you're finding a hard time dating where you live in a certain state or city or country, go someplace else. It's everybody's privilege.
I do have a question for the passport bros. When are y'all gonna take charge and lead your own movement? Like, instead of sitting on this app gaslighting every fucking body, when are y'all just gonna leave? Like, y'all can't even lead yourselves out of the countries, but y'all wanna lead the families. I'm hella confused on what's happening here. When are y'all actually going?
And for those that don't know what passport bros are, they are men that are just dating you for the sake of getting papers. They will manipulate you into thinking that you are their one and only, the love of their life, their shining star, when in all actuality, all they want is papers.
This particular woman sounds like a nut. Passport bros is none of what she's saying. We men from the United States of America going to foreign countries outside of the United States of America.
Allah and his prophet command the women or advise the women. Most of the advice that's given to women is not to love men, is not to love their husbands. Why do you think that is? Well, because women, love comes naturally, right? We give love. This is something that we naturally, and we are very familiar with the concept of unconditional love. However, there's something we're not that familiar with, and that is respect.
So ladies here, would you get married, or are you married?
I was married, yes. Separated for the last 2 years, nearly 3. Went nicely. We went ways. Yeah, amazing man, amazing, awesome guy.
Did you initiate divorce?
I did, yes, because I fall in love with somebody else, and I knew there's nothing that we can work on anymore, and there's my part is somebody else.
Wait a minute! So hang on, you had an amazing man.
Yeah.
And what you used to have an affair?
No.
But you found someone else.
I didn't found it, just happened, you know.
Nothing just happens, man.
Well, there you go. Everything happens for the reason. So that must be a reason.
Where was he? So, like, how did you meet the other guy?
So we moved in Canada, and that was like, I think, after 6 months later.
Well, no, I'm saying like you had to meet him somehow, like at work.
Yeah.
You met another guy at work.
Yeah.
And then you fell in love with the other guy.
Yeah.
But you didn't cheat, you're saying. It was like an emotional thing?
Yeah.
And then you realized you're in love with him?
Yeah.
And are you still with the other guy?
No.
Golly.
So how long were you with the second guy?
For 2 years.
2 years. Looking back, was it worth it?
Of course, because it's a journey. Either we have to learn from our own lessons and our own mistakes, you know. So even like getting married, I love the man, you know, and I always gonna love him because he's
Did you have
my
children
soulmate.
with your husband?
No, I didn't. No.
All right, guys, we're going to get deep into it on tonight. It's going to be a powerful show. And the topic of the show on tonight is 3 or 4 inflation, a real phenomenon. Is it safe to say that many black men, or many men in general, white and black, because of the conditions in the West, that men are beginning to traverse and travel abroad to find women that are not only suitable, guys, but women that are fit, feminine, cooperative, and also can assuage and help them become the better version of themselves? You guys have seen the evidence. And this is the part of the show, guys, where we will be doing this.
Down the rabbit hole we go. This is the part of the show where we assess, examine, collaborate.
All right, guys, we're going to get into it. Get your pens and paper ready. If you have not shared this content, share this stream. It's going to be a powerful stream, a stream that's been on my heart for a long time. Is 304 inflation real? Is the byproduct of relationship capitalism? By my man, the Ingram Experience. Let's do it. Why are men sick of the conditions that they're dealing with in contemporary framework of America? We're going to have a fire show tonight, guys. Get your pens and paper ready. All right, guys, we're going to get deep into it. It's going to be a great show on tonight. Looking forward to having a conversation with you, dear brothers. And we're going to talk about a condition called 304 inflation. And you guys already know what it is. Some call it hoflation, you know. Hoflation is a byproduct of relationship capitalism. And relationship capitalism is a term that A Peaceful Life came up with. That's my homeboy. He came up with the term relationship capitalism. And see, relationship capitalism, guys, is postulated clearly of Dr. William Glasser. And Dr. William Glasser said succinctly, as I said before in the past, that men need power, men need fun, men need freedom, men need belonging, and men need survival. We're going to examine, assess, and we're going to collaborate the evidence to see if we're crazy as men, or does the evidence speak for itself on the thinking errors that so many modern women have as it relates to the needs of men, as it relates to our desires, as it relates to our want, and as it relates to why so many men are beginning to travel abroad and go overseas to find the women that they want. But in the meantime, you guys have been so awesome. Brothers have always shown some love. Gregory Scotland, Top Gun, my man Shocks, to say the least. And based on the poll, guys, 100% of you men have said that are Western women too toxic for traditional relationships? And surprisingly, this is the first time 39 brothers said yes. And that's a problem when men are trying to get their needs met in a time where many don't hear what men are saying, when many don't care what men are saying, when many don't want to understand what men are saying, but for the most part, they're just more or less casting aspersions to the thought processes of men. And because of that, men are beginning to say, no more, no more. Men are exploring their options. The good brothers, the hardworking blue-collar brothers, the brothers that make $75,000 a year, that many say is not enough. The brothers that have more or less went to school and went to academia and got advanced degrees, and they're just the average guys, and they're saying enough is not enough. And now men are beginning to live their lives on their own terms, consistent with getting their needs met and consistent with their value system. Listen, as a licensed professional, one of the things I've always said before in the past is this. You have to identify what your value system is. Once you can identify succinctly what your value system is, guys, then you start to set boundaries around the things that you deem to be important and the things you deem to be the best. And so you guys are beginning to more or less understand and to experiment the importance of setting values that are consistent with your worldview. Here in the West, anytime men say they have values and concerns and they have boundaries, they're going to always be those that will try to silence you, and also the minimization of your rights as a man, which in essence can lead to catastrophization. And so now men are saying that if I can't get my needs met, then I'm going to go where I'm celebrating. Because watch this, men, you die off earlier than most women. Men tend to die early. And see, when men are not getting their needs met because of stress and also lack of cooperation, it will send you to an early grave. That's why I became a licensed therapist and a licensed professional, because it's been a burning desire of mine to help men. And guys, I just kicked out a healthy purchase here recently, literally over $3,000 of my own personal money, because I'm taking this thing serious. We're about to take this movement to a whole level, not only with male advocacy, but also male empowerment, and also endorsing and supporting women that are consistent with what we want and desire. We know that the number of women that we want and desire, especially for you single men, is not abundant enough. So because of that, men are beginning to say, you know what, I got to go where I'm celebrated instead of being tolerated. I got to go where $75,000, it's not a slap in my face. Because see, watch this, $75,000, guys, years ago, you would have been a G. But not only that, you would have got a woman that was cooperative, respect and honor you as a man, didn't have multiple kids by multiple men, and won't, like the young folks say, ran through. But you got women now that have a condition called 304 inflation, because they think that their value is higher than your value, but yet they don't add anything of grace that's consistent with what you want as a man. And that's why I tell you guys, don't argue with them, because they have thinking errors. They have severe thinking errors. They have cognitive dissonance. And it will be a waste of your time to argue with women that do not hear or understand what you're saying. Let them fall by the wayside and focus on yourself, focus on your health, focus on your status. Don't get caught up in this nomenclature there where women are calling you kings. We love you, kings. No, they don't love you. They love you being their supply man. See, women are addicted to attention, many of them. And when you have good women try to call out the bad behavior of some of these modern women, these hyenas, then, those women are called all kinds of derogatory names. Now, to my critics, they will say, well, he always talk about women. No, I don't always talk about women. I talk about the Pookie Macs. I talk about the degenerates that's causing distress and crap in our community. I talk about it all the time. But it would be remiss of me to placate to a group of Western women, regardless of ethnic hue, that don't want to take accountability for their behavior. They don't value men, hardworking men, but see them as less than. And I've seen what this has done to the psyche of men. I've seen it in practice many times. Men that are broken because of the behaviors of so many of these modern women, they suffer internally, and some suffer even on up to self-delusions, consistent with Jason David Frank. He took his life because, his good was never good enough. But in the meantime, guys, I'm going to read through some of these super chats. I'm going to read through them, and I appreciate what you guys have been doing. You guys have donated to the channel. I appreciate it. And I'm going to, let me read through some of these super chats real quick. Shout out to my man, Gregory Scotland, always showing love. He said, salute to Kosher. I think within the next year, many of the men in the Black manosphere need to stand firm in their masculinity and challenge women on these panels when they speak nonsense about passport bros. No doubt. I appreciate it.
It's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Thank you, sir. And shout out for my man, Shocks, always showing love. He's a one-up brother. No doubt. I appreciate it, Shocks. And guys, in the meantime, share this stream. Get the likes up. Share the content, because we're going to have a powerful show, guys. We'll have a good show on tonight. And it's going to be a show that's going to add a lot of clarity to why I'm doing what I'm doing as a licensed professional, but also why it's so important for you men to do what's best for yourself. Because watch this, time waits for no man. Time waits for no man. It doesn't wait for me, and it doesn't wait for you. So shout out to my fellow clinician, my brother Shocks 1112. Shout out to him. And guys, we're going to examine the evidence, because as a therapist, we assess, we examine, and we collaborate. And then we ask ourselves the questions, are we right or wrong? So once again, guys, this is what we're about to do. We're going to look at the evidence, and based on the evidence, who's right and who's wrong. Hold tight.
Down the rabbit hole we go. This is the part of the show where we assess, examine, collaborate.
So guys, let's look at the evidence because somebody's right and somebody's wrong, and I don't think I'm wrong.
He was here living in America because of...
And so you guys know I was in Brazil. I went with Al Grease. I went there twice. And relationship inflation has gotten so bad, guys, that an average guy can't even get with the typical modern woman, to the point that Austin Holleman is abroad. And we're going to look at all the evidence from these clips, but also a show that was completed. And you guys can tell me what you all think. Hold tight.
The gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
Listen, man, some of these modern women, there's nothing that you can do about it. Some of it is narcissism, and some of it is thinking that they're better than you. Go find women that will love you and respect you and honor you and see you as the great man that you are. Because remember this, they would have called Jesus Dustin if he was living here in America, because $75,000 just ain't enough.
And that's the problem, guys. $75,000 is just not enough for the typical modern woman. $75,000 is not enough. Many will minimize you and mock you and berate you and also shame you because they feel like you're not enough. And because of that, because some of you men have never had fathers to impart life into you, some of you men have developed low self-esteem because you feel bad about yourself. You feel like I'm not adequate or I'm not good enough. But the truth is that $35,000 or $75,000 abroad, you're seeing is not only a noble gentleman, but somebody of high value and somebody of high worth. And that's why you got to do what's best for you. And that's why you got to align yourself with people and women that are consistent with your worldviews and your values. And in the meantime, guys, get the likes up and share the content. I appreciate it. Hold tight.
Hi folks, the Filipina P here. And today's question is, what do women think of men who leave their home countries to seek love in foreign lands? Well, apparently there's quite a war of words going on between a certain segment of Western women and men who pursue international relationships. It seems there's a lot of animosity against these guys, with name-calling and outrageous accusations. The conflict centers around a movement called the Passport Bros, who are typically black guys who have gotten fed up with the situation in the West and decided to look elsewhere for a happy life. Now, even though the Passport Bros are mostly African Americans, I think you'll recognize the same tactics being used to shame any guy who dares to dream of finding a better mate overseas. So what are these?
And guys, to be true to point, and to be up to point, not only are they shaming black men, there are some women within their own ethnic circles that are shaming white men that travel abroad as well. See, what narcissists do, guys, narcissists need a supply man. They need somebody that can feed that narcissistic supply. And so when they don't get the supply, then they use abusive language or use shaming tactics. Because many of these women, they don't want you. You're not good enough. You're lame. You're whatever. And that's fine. Let them call you names, and that's okay. But when men begin to say, I'm going to do what's best for me, then all of a sudden, it's a problem. It's a problem when men say, I'm going to do what's best for me. And that's why I do the show till I do. That's why I'm such an advocate for male empowerment. Now, to the 38 people that are watching, guys, it's going to be a good show. Please help me out. Get the likes up, please. Donate to the channel. But the main thing, if you can't donate to the channel, share this stream with 5 young men. There are some young men that are listening. There are some young men that need help. We don't want any man, young or old, to suffer in silence because he's not getting his needs met. So if I can get 5 good brothers to share this stream, I would greatly appreciate it. And if you feel led to donate to the channel like Shocks and Gregory Scotland, then please do so. Keep listening. Hold tight.
Women saying about the man.
Passport Bros go to third world countries and purchase little girls and turn her into a breeding mare. They're little girls. You're sick.
And just like what she said, false accusations. They call these women, which is very offensive. They call them dirty foots. They call them dirty foots because The narcissist, when he can't get what he wants, he starts throwing out diatribes, or more or less throwing out hurling hurts and insults. And that's the problem, because that's why men are doing what they begin to do. Shout out to my man, Israel Develler. Haven't seen you in a long time, brother. He said, I preached a good word, brother coach. No doubt, Israel, I appreciate it, sir, for your kindness. Thank you, brother Israel. I appreciate it, sir. It's been a long time. Glad to see you in the chat. And we're going to get further into this discussion on the night. If we share this stream, guys, it's going to help reach a lot of men. And I appreciate it once again. Hold tight.
Hey, who you calling a little girl?
What do you rate me?
And once again, guys, that's the shaming language. That's part of the inflation, but also an inflated ego. Inflation occurs when somebody thinks that they're better than what they actually are. There are many people that are driving relationship inflation. Some of it is simping. Simping is driving 304 inflation, or what some call hoflation. Simping is doing it. The lack of accountability by other women holding those women accountable is doing it. But when you have other women try to hold these women accountable, then they will turn on them as well. And that's why men can't get their needs met. That's why men cannot get their desires met, because there's not enough accountability going on. And that's why men have to come together. And that's why I, as a licensed professional, it's doing what I'm doing, because I see it, guys, many times in practice, as I said earlier. Shout out to my man GCLA for that $10 super stick. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. I ain't seen you in a minute, GC from LA, but it's a deal, right?
It's a
and I appreciate it, man. Thank you for your kindness. And then also shout out to my man.
That's a deal, right?
Cheese TV. He said, good stream as usual, coach. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for your kindness as well. We're going to get back into it. Hold tight.
Is that what we're starting out with? I don't typically rate people. I ask if they rate themselves.
With average looking women off rip. If you do see them, they got their average looking woman when they were both really young and he built his way up. But a man earning the kind of money you're talking about does not go for an average looking woman.
I mean, my body is not average, so.
But ma'am, you please don't make me say it.
Say what? I really just wanted some advice. I love your.
I'm giving you advice, but you're not.
And this is the show that Kevin Samuels that went viral when he said average is at best. This woman came into his show asking for advice, when the topic of the show at the time when he was doing these shows was about something totally different. But see, people that have inflated egos, they don't know boundaries. Narcissists don't know boundaries. And as I told you guys before in the past, narcissistic personality disorder is more prevalent in men. But there are many women that have narcissistic traits. They're not bona fide narcissists, but they have narcissistic traits. But some are full-blown narcissists. And, the excessive attention, the over-evaluation of themselves, not understanding that when it comes down to men are more concerned about your virtue and your value. Part of your virtue and part of your value is you being able to protect your front, like Chantel say, and also part of a man's virtue is how much money he got. But see, hoflation happens when women think they're better than what they really are, and they overrate themselves because men that have been raised in single-parent homes over-identify with their moms, often aggrandize these women and make them feel like they're better than what they really are. Shout out to my man, Cam 76. He said, thanks for doing the good work, brother. I appreciate it, Cam. Thank you, guys. And guys, like I said, I got some powerful stuff coming up. My lawyer just kicked out $3,000 for an investment in this show and this platform. And it's going to be worth it. And so I look forward to where this platform and channel is growing. I love you, brothers, guys, and we're going to get deep into it. Hold tight.
Taking it. The advice is, ma'am, you're average looking at best.
I'm taking it in, but.
Okay, but you're not accepting the fact that, okay. Average looking women. Average looking woman who's older. Average looking older woman with a 13-year-old son. Average looking woman with a 13-year-old son with a sketchy baby daddy. This gets worse every time I say something. And now you're asking for a man who's in the top 10% of men. You don't qualify for one.
Measures about group therapy. One was called corrective recapitulation. That's just a fancy way of saying, I'm going to go back in my past and correct what was done to me. So now black men, in the former context of emoting, what they're doing now is saying, for so many years, you had the power to say what you wanted to say towards me. But now I got the mic and I'm going to say what I need to say. But you know what I find amazing, Obsidian? Many times we rate men that are handsome. When Barack Obama ran for president, they say he was fine, he was handsome. So anytime the rating is positive, it's not a problem. But when the rating is bad, then it's a problem. You see the dichotomy?
Right.
You can rate me if it's a positive rating, but if it's a negative rating, then you can't rate me.
And guys, once again, that's what narcissists need. Narcissists need to feel good about themselves because many times narcissists have a very fragile ego. Their egos are very fragile for whatever reason. And what simps do, simps aggrandize narcissists. Simps help narcissists continue in their pathology. But when men like yourself that are hardworking present the evidence to many of them, then they have a schema affliction because they cannot handle the truth because it's contraindicated to the pathology, guys, that's going on inside their head. Hold tight.
And that's a problem. That's a problem, I'm saying, because yeah, that's very schizoid. That's schizoid thinking. That's very schizoid in nature. And see, we live in a world now, I'm saying, where our women lack self-reflection. They lack self-introspection. And because of that, you know, men are saying now, you know what, in the proper context, in the proper form, of more or less deliberating what I deem to be necessary, I'm going to deliberate it, and I'm going to deliberate it expeditiously. And because of that, some men they're not used to it. They're not used to hearing men speak. You know, there's a young man by the name of Obi. He said that Kevin Samuels started the conversation. And now men have began to start the conversation. What Kevin was saying was nothing new. It just that it was amplified because it was in YouTube and social media. These conversations have been had or been saying for a long time.
Shout out to you, Marcus. It says, I'm back. The DR was everything I was told. Mad when I just wanted to chill. Took care of me and my friends. Going back in December, y'all gotta go. Another one. Damn.
And see, here's another woman that's been advocating for good women to speak up. She's been advocating on the behalf of black women. Shout out to Danica Marie. But they shame them as well. And see, that's a problem, guys, because see, hyenas will cannibalize one another. Hyenas don't have no boundaries. When it came down to Shaquella Robinson, they didn't care about taking that young lady's life. They didn't care about that woman's life because the hyena has no class and the hyena, guys, have no boundaries. The hyena doesn't care. The only thing that the hyena care about is itself. Shout out to my man, MC Recovery and Wellness. He said that, Kosher, here's my Toastmaster class fee. Like the teaching, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for your love and kindness, MC Recovery and Wellness. And let me get 5 good men to share this stream. Let's get this stream up to 100, hopefully up to 200, because it's going to be a good show on tonight, guys. Hold tight.
Hold on. Y'all, hold on. It's too many flights in the air right now. Hold on, y'all. It's too many flights in the air right now. Can we please save some for the legitimate good black women here in America? Let me beg. Baby, I'm begging, baby, I'm begging, baby. Baby, I'm begging, baby, I'm begging, baby. Hold on. Let me beg on behalf of my American black women, not the real women's. Let me beg on behalf of my American black sisters. Are y'all meaning to tell me?
And when women like her speak out, women that try to talk about bad behavior, she get called names consistent with my dear friend Security Boss get called. They call them the offensive word mammy. They're being called pygmies, which is what most women that are traditional will want. They want to be picked. And they call them all kinds of guys derogatory names because the narcissist cannot see itself. When the narcissist begins to see itself, it was shatter because the narcissist, many times, guys, when you show the narcissist the evidence, they get frustrated. And many times, guys, the narcissist will have a schema affliction. Narcissists cannot handle the truth because it goes against their maladaptive thinking pattern. Hold tight.
The real women have messed it up for the quality black women. Oh, Lord. I can't take it. Baby. Lord have mercy. Oh, y'all meaning to tell me that the bang, not the bang, the Lord Farquaad wigs and the vampire in Brooklyn, lace front, wet and weighty with the beard to match, bitch. Are you meaning to tell me that the botched body BBL bitches with the Cynthia underneath the Lord Farquaad wigs, oh Lord, with the Vivica Fox cheeks, bitch, are y'all meaning to tell me that they have fucked it up for the quality American black women's? I said, baby, I'm begging, baby. Can y'all please bring the airplanes down? We still have a few survivors. Don't let them die. Don't let them die, damn it. Don't do it. Ricky! Is it over? Let me do this. Y'all laughing? I'm dead serious. Hold on. Let me do this. Can y'all put an 8 in the chat?
And guys, that's how dysfunctional this culture has gotten. This culture is so dysfunctional now, guys. That they've gone down the rabbit hole. They've gone down the rabbit hole consistent with something that you would see on the X-Files. And that's why I tell you, man, stop talking to them. The traditional women that are going to listen and follow your leadership, if you have done the work, meaning you've done the work from a mental health perspective, you've done the work from a work perspective. If you've done the work, then that's one thing. But if you're not done the work, I'm not talking about you. You're in the same pool of these women that are dysfunctional themselves. But if you're a hardworking man that's done the work, then I'll say salute to you guys and keep putting in work and keep taking things to the next level, because there are men that are catching flights, not feelings. They're catching flights. They ain't catching feelings, and they're doing what's best for themselves. And that's why this passport movement has gotten so much bigger, because men are beginning to love themselves and do what's best for them. Listen, if you're making $75,000 a year, you're only making $13% of what the population makes. If a woman laugh at you because of that, then just keep it moving, man. Because like Austin Holleman said, it is that bad. Hold tight.
If it's over, Lord have mercy, put an 8 in the chat. If it's over.
Passport bros. And I went down a TikTok rabbit hole, seeing exactly what was going on with this. And I have a difference of opinion than all the other videos I've seen from women, especially black women. I don't care that they exist. I'm going to say two things. I'm married now, so I'm not dating. But even in the last part of my dating life, I wouldn't have cared, because I stopped caring about a lot of stuff that didn't have nothing to do with me. Oh, I understand the sentiment. I understand that men are looking for more traditional values than women. This quote unquote feminine energy that they feel is lacking in American women, and specifically black women. Let's not play like they're not talking about black women specifically. Black men say black women aren't submissive, but they didn't treat her like they treated the foreign women that they tried to date, where they were gentlemen and overly gracious and overly alpha and overly like spending all kinds of money, because they don't mind doing that in the foreign country. But here, like, a date is too much because gold diggers, right? So it's just a lot. I'm like, well, you're not getting that response because you're not giving the same behavior, but that's a whole nother video. But ultimately, I don't feel any type of way about the passport bros, because you find your happiness where you find it. And if they have trouble dating United States, that is best suited for them. And I have no problem with that. And women, same thing. If you're finding a hard time dating where you live in a certain state or city or country, go someplace else. It's everybody's privilege.
But I do have a question for the passport bros. When are y'all gonna take charge and lead your own movement? Like, instead of sitting on this app gaslighting every fucking body, when are y'all...
And guys, look at this woman, man. Look at her. Subpar in looks, subpar in behavior. And a lot of these women, guys, are insecure. They're projecting their insecurities. And once again, the ones that are average at best, because of inflation or 3 or 4 inflation, they think they're better than what they really are. And so now they're having scheme afflictions because they can't handle the truth. But look at her. I mean, look at her. Subpar in looks and also subpar in behavior. But this is the type of woman that thinks she deserves a good man. And that's why, guys, you got to go to therapy before you travel. You got to know what your thinking errors are. You can come see me at coachtheclinician@gmail.com. I've helped a lot of good brothers, more or less, deal with their thinking errors, as I am a licensed professional. And I do this YouTube stuff as a hobby, but also I do it as a way to help men see and get their needs met in a consistent manner that's consistent with heteronormative masculinity. So come see me at coachtheclinician@gmail.com for $9 nights of consultation. If you like what I'm doing, also donate to the channel. So hold tight.
Y'all just gonna leave? Like, y'all can't even lead yourselves out of the countries, but y'all want to lead the families. I'm hella confused on what's happening here. When are y'all actually going?
And for those that don't know what passport bros are, they are men that are just dating you for the sake of getting papers. They will manipulate you into thinking that you are their one and only, the love of their life, their shining star, when in all actuality, all they want is papers.
This particular woman sounds like a nut. Passport bros is none of what she's saying. We men from the United States of America going to foreign countries outside of the United States of America.
Allah and His Prophet command the women or advise the women. Most of the advice that's given to women is not to love men, is not to love their husbands. Why do you think that is? Well, because women, love comes naturally, right? We give love. This is something that we naturally, and we are very familiar with the concept of unconditional love. However, there's something we're not that familiar with, and that is respect.
So ladies here, would you get married or are you married?
I was married, yes.
See, guys, women by nature, they're not conditioned and just to give you respect for the sake of respect. But our love currency is respect. Their love currency is the feeling of love. Brother Cortez, do me a favor, man. Send me that link again. I'll try to bring you love if you need me to. Send me that link again, Brother Cortez, in my email at coachclinician@gmail.com. I'll look it up, Brother Cortez, and see what's going on. So please send it again. But this is what we're talking about once again, guys. There was a time where women respect the men, but like I told you guys, in general, at the front, they only respect power and strength, and that's why you have to come into relationships demanding power. If you've done the work, you don't keep arguing with a woman, you don't argue with her, you just do what you need to do and you keep it moving, because most of them don't even qualify to be wives in the first place. So keep listening.
Separated for the last 2 years, maybe 3.
And see, guys, once again, they're all slaves to their nature. This woman left for her husband, a good man. She left him for no reason whatsoever. And as they've said before in the past, the more things change, guys, the more they remain the same. Shout out to my man, Gary Scott. That's my homie. I ain't seen him in years. For that $10 super chat. I appreciate it, G. And G, because of that, that super chat, you are in the show and part of one of the donors of the night. Thank you, sir.
It's the money.
Went nicely. We went ways. Yeah, amazing man, amazing, awesome guy.
Did you initiate the divorce?
I did, yes, because I fall in love.
Remember, they initiate divorce at 70 to 90%. 90% being educated women. Remember, they don't do things based on principle. They do things based on feelings. That's why a woman must be a woman of faith or have a level of spirituality, but also she must be acculturated to serve and honor her man. Women by nature can be slaves to their emotions. Men can be slaves to their loins. That's why you can't lead with your wallet and you can't lead with your penis. Shout out to my man, hard worker in the truth. Is that my man, G? I think that's my man, G. Hard worker in the truth. I don't think I see it, brother. I didn't get, unless that's somebody else. Hard working the truth. I didn't get it, man. If you're Gary Scott, hard working the truth, hit 1. But I didn't get anything hard working the truth. But if you want to send it again, let me know. Nothing came through my Cash App. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Thank you, hard working the truth. If that's brother Scott, then just nullify that.
With somebody else, and I knew there's nothing that we can work on anymore, and there's my part is somebody else.
Wait a minute. So hang on, so you had an amazing man.
Yeah.
And what you had an affair?
No.
But you found someone else.
I didn't found it, just happened,
Nothing just happens, man.
Well, there you go. Everything happens for the reason. So that must be a reason.
Where was he? So, like, how did you meet the other guy?
So we moved in Canada, and that was like, I think, after 6 months later.
Well, no, I'm saying like you had to meet him somehow, like at work.
Yeah.
You met another guy at work.
Yeah.
And then you fell in love with the other guy.
Yeah.
But you didn't cheat. You're saying it was like an emotional thing.
Yeah.
And then you realized you're in love with him.
Yeah.
And did you?
But she did cheat. See, women think that cheating, guys, is just physical. But see, adultery starts in the heart first and then it leads to the physical. She did cheat. And she left a perfectly good man based on how she felt because she's a slave to her feelings. And that's why I told you guys, you got to get with women that are raised in cultures that honor and respect men, and then they have a community of elders that hold them accountable. There is no accountability for Western women, white or black. This is not a black woman issue. We talk about black women because we're black men, but it's a Western woman issue, and white men in other countries are dealing with the same issues as well. Thank you again, brother. Hard working truth. Thank you, sir.
Are you still with the other guy?
No.
Golly.
So how long were you with the second guy?
For 2 years.
2 years. Looking back, was it worth it?
Of course, because it's a journey. Either we have to learn from our own lessons and our own mistakes, So even like getting married, I love the man, and I always gonna love him because he's.
Did you have
my
children
soulmate.
with your husband?
No, I didn't. No.
Remember, she left her husband, guys. But they want you to get married. Many of these women don't understand or don't have the perfect decorum to be wives. And that's why I told you guys, you got to love yourself. You got to travel abroad. And you got to get with women that are consistent with your worldview, but also get with women that know how to honor and serve you as a man. The modern woman or women in the West have become corrupt. Not all of them, because see, when you have other women try to hold them accountable and tell them the truth, many times they won't listen to them as well. So it's done. There are some good women I try to tell that to in the past. And sadly, now they're beginning to see what I've talked about for themselves. So hold tight, guys. Let me show you something. And we're going to finish listening to Filipina P, fair use. And we're going to look at the pathologies that so many of these women have. Hold tight. Fair use. She's been doing awesome work, and she's a Filipina. And for some of you single men that want a wife, Filipino women could be an option as well as African women and also Afro-Latin women. Because these women will honor you and value you. They won't mimic or mock your $75,000 a year. They don't mind cooking for you and treating you like a man. So I want you guys to listen to this because I do believe that men should get their needs met because I am a male empowerment therapist. Hold tight.
Black women, are you ready? Apparently there's a group of, you guessed it, Black men who have grown weary of the, quote, control that Black women have over them. So they've decided to seek dominance.
And see, look at the nomenclature. Look at the words that they use, guys. All of this is consistent with thinking errors. This is called catastrophizing. Seek dominance because they come into relationships broken. They come into relationships wanting power. Many of these women, guys, come into relationship expecting you to serve them instead of you leading them in the right direction. They want to lead you. And so they use very negative talking points because they internalize and pathologies based on perception. And that perception, once again, is called catastrophizing. Hold tight.
Elsewhere. And that's in the form of traveling to third world countries to seek a bride. What's at play here is that...
And listen to the hypocrisy, guys. I think most men will rather have... See, what women don't understand, the women that run their mouth and bump their gums, men don't care about how much money you make. We don't care about that. But what men do care about is femininity. So let's say every woman that black men travel to is living in abject poverty. Those women are actually richer than the typical American woman. You know why? Because they are rich in femininity. They're rich in femininity. It's better for a woman to be rich in femininity than to have financial well-being, and she's operating in her masculinity. I'm gonna say it again. Men will prefer a woman that's rich in femininity than a woman that's operating in her masculine frame. I'm not talking about men that are lazy. I'm not talking about men that sit on the couch. I'm not talking about men that are simps. I'm talking about hard-working blue-collar men. I'm talking about white-collar men that have done the work. I'm talking about men that have their stuff together, that's making good money, and men that are putting themselves in a position for the outcomes that they want because they've done the work. And so these women are projecting, they're trying to shame, and a lot of the guys is being deaf. They have cognitive dissonance. And that cognitive dissonance, guys, is predicated on this. They deny the evidence when you send them the evidence. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue to ad hominem attacks, and these women will fight you or flee, guys, because they have a condition called cognitive dissonance. And the cognitive dissonance, guys, is cognitive dissonance. And when you hear that, guys, you got to be just like Bruce Lee. You can't let it bother you. You got to let it roll off your back, just like water rolls off a duck's back. You got to be like water when it comes down to dealing with some of these modern women because they will try to shame you back into silence. And so, as I said before in the past, you got to be just like water.
That's ISO? Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees.
And being like water, guys, is part of cognitive restructuring, something we're going to talk about in a minute. But in the meantime, let's finish listening to what Filipina Pete is saying. Hold tight.
These dusty, mediocre at best, so-called men have finally come to the realization that black women are no longer willing to settle for the bare minimum.
And they always say settle. And see, what these women are doing, guys, they are living through vicarious trauma of the type of men that hurt them in the past. But see, fair exchange, there is no robber in fair exchange. What men got years ago is a hell of a lot better than what men is getting today. I'm going to say it again. What men got years ago is a hell of a lot better than what men are getting today. Men about 50 to 100 years ago got women that were virgins. They had no kids. They were wife ready, and they were ready to serve. What that woman got was a good provider, a good protector, traditional, and a God-fearing man. But they say selling. Well, what is the typical American man getting, white or black? What are they getting? You know, they're getting women that have been very promiscuous. They got kids by other men. They don't know how to honor and respect men. So what is the modern man getting? If somebody can tell me what that man is getting, then maybe we can have a conversation. But he's not getting anything. But they say that they are settling, guys, because they minimize what you want as a man. Hold tight.
And are choosing to stay single and maintain. If divesting to desperate and disfranchised women is so great, why do you all have to make an announcement?
And they say desperate. They say these women are desperate. But you know, some guys, when these women were looking for power, because what it is about power and flexing, Why did they announce when Kamala Harris was made president? Why did they say chucks and pearls? They could have kept it to themselves. They didn't have to go out in the media to talk about it, but they celebrated because it symbolized power and freedom for women's rights, and that's okay. But men are saying now we're celebrating not to necessarily flex on women, but we're celebrating because now we're getting our needs met. But you see the dichotomy. We're supposed to celebrate in silence, but they celebrated in public when it came down to chucks and pearls. And that's why I came up with a hashtag called passports and pearls. Get your passports, cash your pearls to women that are honorable, virtuous, and respectful. They sit up and call these women dirty feet. They call the American black women that try to lead and teach and guide the older sisters that are married. They call them mammies. They call the women that are trying to get married pick-me's. You can't win for losing. So don't even entertain some of these degenerate women. They're very degenerate. They have a lot of thinking errors, sadly, many of them, and many of them are not going to change. So you have to be the change that you need to be, because consistent with Shakespeare said it better than me. Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. You have to be true to thine own self. And once you are true to thine own self, you won't allow a woman to disrespect you or disparage you again.
Brand announcement. Oh, I know why. Because you actually think that this will hurt Black women. So, sayonara, arrivederci, adios.
Okay, so the undesirable, dusty, mediocre, at best, so-called men want to get away from you? I wonder why they want to do that. You sound really sweet and not bitter at all. As for why the passport bros want to announce their intentions, maybe they're not trying to hurt women. They're just letting other men know that leaving is an option. But if you want to make it all about you, be my guest. So how does this next lady describe the movement?
I am not mad about Black men getting their passports and paying to play overseas. I just truly want to help these men to see logic and reason. A man that's...
And those guys, they always go back to a default setting, paying to play overseas. Don't have no evidence, but that's the faulty assumption of catastrophizing that they're paying to play. And if they are paying to play, that's their business. That's between them and God. But like I said, guys, the hatred and the vitriol is unreal. They don't want you. They don't respect you, but they want you to be their supply man. I'm going to do a show about it at some point. I'm called the Supply Man. Hold tight.
Looking to marry a foreign woman went to an event wearing a top hat. Brother, are you serious? You look ridiculous. And you're clearly undesirable, but I'm sure that you've blamed Black women for your lack of what it takes to attract them. But you want to go overseas where women are unaware culturally of your nature and pay them to pretend while you give them nothing but money and a wet behind. They aren't marrying these women. The men in this movement are largely undesirables or men that want to use a woman freely without her giving any pushback.
No, I'm not mad that certain men have decided to go out of the country looking for their next victim. I'm completely okay with that.
I'm getting some mixed signals here. You say you're fine if the men want to leave, but then you call him ridiculous, clearly undesirable, and claim they're just using women. You say you're just trying to help, but that sounds more like an attack. So maybe you do care, just a little. And you say men don't come here for real relationships, but that's just not true. My cousin married a passport bro, and they've been happy for years. Women misrepresent.
And that's what you can get, guys, when you travel abroad. You travel abroad with the understanding that women, for the most part, are the same at their hard drive. But there are characteristics like temperament and socialization that makes a woman different. What do I mean by hard drive? Women can be slaves to their feelings. Women want men that are powerful. Women want men that have resources. Women want men that are romantic. But it can be very, how can I say it? It can be very complex when you start talking about other nuances. But for the most part, women and men share a lot of similarities. How their process is what makes it different. Hold tight.
The guys who want to leave. Well, after watching a few more of their videos, I started to notice some common tactics.
The passport bros are dehumanizing women to the point of basically being used for their uterus and domestic capacity. The passport bros want to put them to work in the bedroom and the home.
Ah, yes, the claim that the guys are coming over here so they can turn women into slaves and force us to work in the bedroom while they impregnate us. Diabolical. You seem to think we're mindless idiots with no will of our own. We might be traditional women, but we're not empty-headed. You may not in the Philippines. Women actually have quite a bit of say-so in the household. Just talk to some of the foreigners that are married to us. But I suppose you know my culture better than I do, right? And as far as turning us into...
And that's the arrogance and the ignorance of so many Western women. Those same women they call third world, many of those women are not necessarily third world. Many of those women are professional women. They work, they come from strong traditional families. But that's part of the shaming language because narcissists need a supply man.
To incubators, you've got that completely backwards. 99% of the time, it's the Filipina begging the foreigner to have a baby. Where are you getting this stuff from? Next.
But you have to understand, a lot of us, 46, be 47 soon, each day that goes by makes me more grateful that I'm divorced. I thank God every day that I'm divorced. If you want to get your passport and go overseas, you're welcome to it. Bye. I mean, maybe there you'll find women who are okay with being treated like doormats. I don't know.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sure you're...
And as you guys see, you know,
there's a lot of
white women
animosity
started this
against these
foolishness.
guys with name...
Hold tight.
Passport
birds. 99% of the time, it's the Filipina begging the foreigner to have a baby.
That I'm divorced. If you want to get your passport...
And look at this bitter woman. She said women overseas are okay being doormats. They all have the same talking points, the same narrative based on ignorance. And that's why I tell you, men, don't tolerate them. Don't argue with them. Just ignore them. Focus on yourself. If you want to get married and travel abroad, then do that. But just do what's best for you. Don't worry about entitled women that believe in egalitarian relationships where they can dictate to you how that relationship is going to go. Because if they're not a spiritual woman, they're going to be a slave to their feelings.
Go overseas, you're welcome to it. Bye. I mean, maybe there you'll find women who are okay with being treated like doormats. I don't know.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sure you're very happy with your choices and the way you've carefully crafted your life to end up alone. But you think foreign guys treat us like doormats? Lady, you have no clue. Foreigners have the general reputation of being more caring and attentive than anything we've ever known. Who told you otherwise? Or maybe you're just making assumptions again. But
check this out. I'm going to show you how I afforded this car. Okay, you ready? All right, 100.
What have you got?
Passport bros are nothing but a bunch of pedophiles who's traveling across the world to get young girls.
And look at this simp. Look at this. And I told you guys, simps feed the pathology. Some of these simps are so pathetic, man. They don't know any better. They over-identify with the mothers. But look at this simp. You know, he doesn't know any better, you know. And they all use the same talking points, but these same simps don't say anything about white men that have been traveling for years. They don't say anything to the black women that travel abroad. They don't say anything to the white women that go on to Gambia and mess with them young boys. But everybody can do it but black men, because black men are the real slaves. Y'all are the real slaves. Y'all are the real ones that they don't honor and respect. They just want your resources. They want you to serve the queen. And that's why you got to modify your thought processes to get the needs that you want.
Pedophilia tourism.
Nothing but pedophiles? Nothing but? Which means that all the guys who look for partners outside their country are pedophiles? That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. But you made the claim, so you have the burden of backing it up. So please, give us the evidence. Show your data. I've been living here 30 years, and the women that foreigners choose are adults like me. And in case you didn't know, buying little girls is completely illegal. The fact is, the vast majority of passport bros are coming here for a real relationship with a woman, not to molest a child. What's wrong with you? And why would you accuse your own man like that?
It's 2022. You're talking about a freaking passport. I've had one of these since I was 2.
And guys, look at this old bitter woman. She's bitter. She's about close to 50 or 60, probably close to 60. And I never understood it. You don't. Why do you care? But I know why they care. Because they're dealing with their own insecurities and they're projecting.
Y'all were acting like they just came up with these in 2022. I'm gonna go over and get me a woman, be able to abuse her. Ain't nobody gonna do.
Do y'all understand how people feel about Americans? That just goes to show you ain't been nowhere. So y'all think y'all gonna run your broke asses over to other countries and they go, oh, these.
You see the disparaging language that they're using, guys. Guys, get the likes up. Please share this stream. It's going to get good in a few minutes, but please share the stream and keep listening. Hold tight.
Some black kings from America. Most people don't like Americans. They think that we are overrated. They think that we're better than everybody else. They don't like us. They don't like us. They sure not going to like you if they know that you're getting your passport so you can come over there and abuse their women. That as a black man, if you want to roll up in some of these other countries and try to abuse their sisters and their daughters and their nieces and their mothers and taking them out, toe tagging 4.5 of them a day, you know what's going to happen. You're going to get hacked up with a machete.
Exactly, lady. If you come over here and start abusing women, you will get hacked up by a machete. I assure you. If you come over here and abuse me, my dad's got a nice big blade with your name on it. And how many passport bros have gotten hacked up? 0. So I guess that proves they're not here to abuse us. Funny how that little thing called logic works, isn't it?
My question is, how do you not feel slimy and disgusting as a person, knowing full well that you are going to another country, seeking out women that you perceive as easier to manipulate, easier to control, and easier to take advantage of? And even if you do find some poor woman that needs a green card.
And they all say the same thing. Look at this hyena, guys. Look at this hyena. They all say the same thing. Green card, poor, manipulate. Because what they're doing, they're projecting based on vicarious trauma, or they're catastrophizing based off of ignorance. But either way you look at it, it's a sign of a mental health pathology. Poor woman who needs a green card. Look at her. Look how wild she looks. But the problem with most modern women, guys, y'all know it better than me. They want to control you. They'll say you're trying to control them, but they want a man that's going to submit to their program. They want a relationship where it's equal when it benefits them. And that's why if you're a traditional man, you've been raised by masculine men, don't even argue with them. Just laugh at them and keep it moving. They'll be the ones suffering in silence drinking wine, man, singing that song by Teddy Pendergrass. The whole world is laughing at me.
Wants to move to the U.S. or, needs money, that's still not love. So on that note, safe travels, and I hope that you and all the other passport bros get exactly what you're looking for.
Of course, the famous she just wants a green card argument. I get so tired of this one because contrary to what you all seem to think, most Filipinos are happy to stay right here in the Philippines. If our partner says he wants to live here, that's fine with us. We're really not all that demanding. We just want a roof over our heads and a meal on the table. So what other insults you got?
You want to know what your problem is? Your entire life you were told that skinny is good and
look at her projecting. But at the same time, though, she's worried about, so-called fat shame because she's too lazy to get up and work out. All the time, men get objectified based on height. They get objectified based on how much money they make. They get objectified based on their phallus. They just eat it. Even heavy-set men or quote-unquote fat men get objectified. But it's no fun when the rabbit got a gun. And that's what happens when you're dealing with narcissistic, entitled women.
Fat is the worst possible thing that you could be. You're not able to wrap your head around fat people being comfortable in the skin that they're in because you're uncomfortable in the skin that you're in. Fat women wearing outfits that you won't even wear because you're ashamed of your stretch marks. They wouldn't even give you a second look. The truth is, fat was never a bad thing. And once we figure that out, you'll never be able to put us back in that box again. You can have it, and I'm sure it'll be a much better for you.
Two birds with one stone. Shame the man for not wanting large women and shame skinny women for being skinny. Brilliant. But I'm not sure you're going to convince men they've just been taught not to like fat women. And you're definitely not going to convince me that I'm secretly jealous of you because I can't wear your clothes. Nice try. This is fun. What's next?
I'm going to show you the most amazing gift.
We got a really sentimental painting from Paint Your Life.
Someone who comes from one of these third world countries that men go to pick up women, we know they're losers. We know that they go over there because they cannot get anyone in here. And if these men go over there thinking that these women want to build a family with them, that these passport bros want these women for sex, these women want them for money. And again, they deserve to be scammed. We know they're losers. We know that they cannot get any women in here. That's why they go over there. And the same thing with the women. But let's not worry.
Boring. Calling guys losers and saying they can get a woman in the West is a tired old insult that just doesn't work. Because what you don't seem to realize is that it's not that they can get a Western woman, it's that they don't want one.
Sir, on behalf of all Black women everywhere, we absolutely do not give one solitary about you going to another country and finding a wife. Please go choose somebody else. And it never ends the way that y'all think it does. And I really feel sorry for those women.
This chick sounds she got high cholesterol, man. But you know, the crazy thing is, guys, men know that the ones that have traveled that women abroad are not perfect. You have to be on your game because you can get scammed. But by and large, the pool of finding traditional women is a lot broader. We know that some of the cities and some of the port cities and some of the resort areas, feminism is slowly creeping in. But overall, to the countryside, you got a better chance of finding those women. Listen, your options are better abroad with a traditional woman than it is here in America. And if you want good traditional women, Asian women in the form of Filipino women are excellent means.
And so if they willing to pump it up, because we know that little thing don't work no more, if they willing to pump it up for y'all, have at it. Have a great day.
Won't there?
Look at the bad attitude. Don't have no feminine grace. It sounds very ignorant.
There it is. When you're out of ammo, just take the easy way out and go for the low-hanging fruit of a guy's junk. Call him a limp biscuit, a wet noodle, a rumpled foreskin. I'm sure they'll actually hurt his feelings so bad he won't want to leave anymore. Just like I'm sure he'll totally believe that you don't care if he does. I mean, you don't sound mad or anything. So that's the end of the insults. But in case you lost track.
And so, guys, once again, the further down the rabbit hole we go.
Here's a recap. Men that look in other countries for love are undesirable losers. They're pedophiles whose only interest is purchasing children so they can abuse, dehumanize, and enslave them and turn them into breeding mares and domestic robots. These sick men give their poor and desperate women nothing but a wet behind. And all they care about is controlling and molesting their victims with defective junk that has to be inflated with a tire pump. But the women aren't angry or upset at all. No, of course not. They're happy to see you go. So at this point, does anyone still wonder why these guys want to escape? Well, at least one woman gets it.
If you actually look at a passport bro, which I know many of them, they are not going over there to grape and conquer. They are going over there because they are giving up over here. The reality is that there are too many women that are saying that they don't need men. Men want to be needed. They want to feel valued like they are protectors. They say that they're tired trying to find a woman in the United States, let alone a metropolitan area like LA or New York, where women say, I don't need a man, go away, who do you think I am?
And see, guys, these women get it. This woman gets it. I've said it before in the past. You have to protect the ego of a man. If you protect his ego, he will protect you. But modern women don't want to protect the ego of a man because many have not been raised to do it. Many of them are dealing with vicarious trauma, what they saw their moms go through, and many are just plain rebellious, and that rebellion is a byproduct of liberal social indoctrination. Your best bet is to travel abroad. Your best bet is when you need it to book a consultation with me so I can give you some parameters as a therapist, and then start getting your money up, get your mind up, and also doing what's best for you and getting the outcomes that you so desire so you can become the better version of yourself.
My purpose in this is to defend the passport bros because they're not raping and pillaging and like doing anything crazy. They just want a traditional woman.
And that's basically it.
That's it.
The passport bros are coming here for the exact same reason that so many other guys do. They just want to find a partner that loves them, and they've discovered a way to make it happen. So let's call an end to this war. The women say they don't care if the men leave because they're the unwanted ones anyway. So stop attacking men on their way out the door. Just let them go in peace to find happiness wherever they can. Well, that's it for this episode.
And they're not going to let you go into happiness because sadly, many of them don't want you to be happy. Many want you to be unhappy. They love themselves more than they love you. And that's why these conversations are so important. As a male empowerment therapist, my mission is for traditional men that want traditional women to get the outcomes that they so desire. And when those women meet their expectations and meet their standards, they need to go forward and do what's best for them. I got another link, guys, I want to show you. And this is based on Austin Holleman. As you guys know, Austin is he's in Brazil right now. And Austin said it better than me. He said, it's that bad. Gregory Scotland said, let's face it, we are moving past Kevin Samuels, Obsidian, and O'Shea Duke Jackson style of approach. It's a new day, more along kosher, Dennis, and Angry Man process. No doubt, man. I appreciate it. And, we are moving in a new day. We're doing what's best for us. Kevin was an advocate for dating women here in America, but men are just saying it's just not best or advantageous for them because there's not enough traditional women. Shout out to the good traditional women that are striving. We know that there's a remnant out there, but by and large, the selection pool is not big enough. We're going to look at something by Austin and Obsidian. But in the meantime, guys, once again, this is the part of the show, guys, where we assess, examine, and collaborate. Down the rabbit hole we go. This is the part of the show where we assess, examine, collaborate. All right, so let's look at this show that Austin Obsidian did. He did it with Obsidian a while ago. I've had Austin on my show several times, and some would judge Austin. But Austin meet all the metrics that a lot of women want. He's tall. He was well accomplished as a barber. But like I say, Austin Holleman is not even good enough in America. I used to call him dark matter because Austin Holleman is the antithesis to Kevin Samuels. He's not advising single men to deal with women here in America. So shout out to Obsidian, shout out to Austin Holleman. I both dealt with them both on my platform. And we're going to break this thing down as well. This was a great show that they had. And let's break it down. Hold tight.
Support brothers bent. But this is the first time I've ever actually had a conversation with a brother live from their locale overseas. Usually it's brothers that have been overseas many times and they're currently speaking stateside. This is the first time I've ever had a conversation with a brother that's actually, boots on the ground where they are at the moment. And so this is going to be very, very interesting. Before we get underway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask everybody to please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I deeply appreciate it. And if you will be so inclined, we could use your support. These shows are made possible by the generous support of listeners just like you. You can support tonight's show via Super Chat, PayPal, Cash App, or Patreon. Choose your weapon right there. And on Patreon, www.patreon.com/Mumia Obsidian Ali. I want to thank all the patrons out there who hang in there during this time of great transition here at Obsidian Radio. We're getting everything together behind the scenes. And you guys are going to have a first look at some of the things that got coming down the pike in 2023. All right, so with that being said, let me ask you a question, Austin. What is the backstory here? I tell you what, I got wind of you earlier this summer. And I got wind of you by way of got my good friend and brother, fellow co-founder of the Black Manosphere, O'Shea Duke Jackson. Mm-hmm. We were talking behind the scenes, and he said, yeah, this young guy, man, Austin Holleman, man, good-looking guy, young guy. He's really tearing it up. I said, well, who's that? He said, you ever heard of him? He said, yeah, man, he's on the passport side of things, and he's really tearing it up. So I said, okay, well, let me go and look into it. Anytime O'Shea says, speaks or say something in passing, I always look at that as a good opportunity to look into it. So, but I didn't even have to do that, because when I did, as soon as I got finished speaking to him the next day, you started coming up in my YouTube feed recommendations. And what happened, it wasn't your channel per se. It was you were appearing on channels that I follow or am associated to. So I started listening to a few interviews. Like, for example, I heard one interview you did with Courtney Michelle. Mm-hmm. And there's several other appearances that you made around and whatnot. And it seemed to be a big controversy. I'm like, okay, so you got this young brother who's going overseas. He wants to find, like all brothers do, they want to find, a lady. Plus, they want to expand their options in other ways too, socially and so forth. So I'm thinking, well, what's the big deal about that? And then I said, okay, let me take a step back here. No homo, good-looking guy, young guy. My understanding is that you are a barber by profession.
Not anymore, but I was, yes.
Okay. And that at least at the time, you can go into what you're doing now, but at the time, not only you were a barber, but you owned your own business, doing well for yourself. So the thing with me is, I think part of the reason, at least for me, I think part of the reason why the whole thing kind of looks odd, because I talked to you about this book called Don't Blame It on Rio, right? Came out in 2008 by Jewel Woods. And the argument that he was making back then, and he was talking about the latter 90s up through the early 2000s. Brother were going to Brazil, but they were either married, middle-aged, or there is this stereotype that any brother that goes to Rio, for example, and the name of the book is called that, is, short, balding, fat, has no game, whack, weird. He's so lacking in game, he has to go down to a third world country and pay for it and that sort of thing. And you kind of run against type because, you look tall, look relatively tall, good looking guy, young guy, successful guy, yet you're leaving the quote unquote reservation. So I guess that's a good place to start. What is the backstory with Austin Holleman, and what's a guy like you doing in a place like Rio?
Well, let me give you some comparisons now that I've been in Rio for a full day now, again, for the third time. I've been here February, May. The backstory is everything that I get here is flipped of what I get in the States. I'm not saying the stuff is not in the States, but on average, this is what's happening. I come here. When I get rejected, I get politely rejected. When I get rejected in the States, it makes you want to cuss them out. I'm not saying that I do that, but I'm saying I can see why when women say they get disrespected, I can see why. Okay. Women move with intent down here. You're not getting their phone number if she doesn't like you. In the United States, a woman could look at you and she could say, I wouldn't even give that dude a hug, but she'll give you her phone number so she could play with you. I don't know about you, but I got stuff to do on a daily basis, and I don't have time to play with anybody. Don't give me your number.
Right. Huh. Okay. So I don't know if you're familiar with this terminology. It's it comes from the pickup artist world. Don't know how familiar you are with that, and don't know if you ever read The Game, if you understand, if you know who Roosh is and all that sort of thing. Rollo Tomasi and all the rest of it. But in any event, there's a terminology known as a nuclear rejection, or a woman nuking a man. And in Black American culture, for whatever reason, Black women are, and I'm not saying this is true of every last Black woman, obviously, but there's a notion that Black women are much more likely to nuclear reject a man than women of other backgrounds and culture. That's just here within the United States, let alone overseas. That if a Black woman rejects you, she just kind of, just blows up the spot and makes a fool out of you and, humiliates you and all the rest of it. We call that a nuclear rejection. Quite a few brothers have reported experiencing that. And those brothers who have decided to hop the fence, so to speak, say that they don't experience that from women of other backgrounds here in the United States. So that's not alien to me, what you just relayed to in terms of what you experienced down in Brazil. As for the idea of finessing somebody or playing with somebody's head and all the rest of it, yes, there are a number of ladies. I'm not saying that Black women are the only women that do this, but for whatever reason, there is a perception that Black women are more likely to do that here in the States than women of other backgrounds here in the States and definitely overseas. The whole finessing thing, getting your number and messing around with you and all that sort of thing. But I have to ask, why you? I mean, again, we got it. You know, Black Americans culture is a very, it's a very looks oriented culture. I got to be honest about that. You're a good looking guy. Why would you be concerned about those things? That's supposed to happen more to guys who are the opposite of you, because that's going to be the argument. The argument's going to be, you know, you complain about being nuclear rejected. The argument is, you know, you got to stay in your lane. You went outside of your league, and usually that's said to guys that are not you. So okay, what you're saying, I can get it, but why you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And you know, for the longest, I thought something was wrong with me, and then I came to Rio, and I've been more secure with myself than ever before. I no longer think that I'm crazy. You know, they will make you think that you're crazy, but I want to touch on that too. I don't ever include race because to me, all these women in the United States act the same. I mean, you might. In my experience, I would agree. Yes, I do experience it more from Black women, but I mean, the games are the same amongst all races, and my followers is all races. It's not just Black. It's mostly Black. That's because I'm Black.
Right.
I feel like if I was white, it'd be mostly white.
Right.
But like, I don't think Andrew Tate's followers were mostly Black, but he had Black followers. But I don't know, and I'm not saying you're doing this. I don't know why people throw me in you're bashing Black women or you're saying this. I've never addressed Black women, but I don't know why. But Black women are victims. They victimize themselves. I say American women, they hear Black women.
Right.
Y'all, Black people only make up 13% of the population. How the hell am I talking about y'all? Y'all don't even make up the majority. So that's just so stupid. But
so your position. So you're just not to cut you off, but I just want to be clear on this. Your position is that what you're saying is in no way meant to be taken to be focusing or singling out Black women. Your position is that this is an American woman problem.
Yeah, I mean, I even American culture. When I was in Colombia last and I experienced Colombia, I put out a tweet that said U.S. culture is dumb. I didn't say Black culture was dumb. I said U.S. culture was dumb. Black people.
What about U.S. culture is dumb to you? I mean, not now. I don't need an exhaustive list, but just give me a couple things as it pertains to the next topic.
A couple of things about U.S. culture is dumb is one thing, and this doesn't have anything to do about dating, but it's just about working yourself to death. And that's one thing you experience overseas, that people look at you like, why are you working so hard? That's I mean, hey, it sounds good, like, hey, be the best you could be, but what about everything else? You know, what about the rest of your life? But U.S. culture is dumb to me because it's went from chivalry, which I thought was smart. I thought that was a good idea, but now the roles are being reversed, you know, and we're trying to decide what a woman is these days. I mean, it's just stupid. I mean, it's stupid. That's why I say U.S. culture is dumb. And when I come here, I'm just, the weight is lifted off my shoulders. Every country I feel better, but Brazil, my personality was made for Brazil. I slept 4 hours last night and I've been wide awake all day because I'm just that excited to be here.
Wow. And you said this is your third time being over there in Rio de Janeiro
this year, and I'm not ever leaving.
Wow. So am I understanding this right? You're third time's the charm. You're there to stay.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Let me get super chats here. My man Zhao Quia with the $2 super chat. He says, Passport Brothers remain undefeated. Appreciate your support, brother. My man Azriel, the first of his name, with the $10 super chat, says, they say they'll take your money. Meanwhile, women over here say $100,000 isn't enough. Women went to Kevin's platform. He's referring to Kevin Samuels, our dearly departed friend and brother. Went to Kevin's platform and said they don't want a man that makes less than 6 figures. The women here are trash. Your response to that, Austin? First of all, I'm going to assume you are very familiar with the late great Kevin Samuels. He was a close friend of mine.
Yes. Before I forget, you asked me a question I wanted to answer earlier.
Yes, go right ahead. Yes.
You said that people would say that I was shooting out of my league, right?
Yes.
So people, since I've been online, that have been shocked by my stance, they call me handsome. I'm 5'11", 6 foot with shoes, so I at least break the bar or meet the bar on that.
For black women, to be fair, for black women, yes, they consider anything under 6 foot to be short. Like you said, you just make it with shoes on. So go right ahead.
Yep, and I made 6 figures as a barber. I was making $2,500 to $3,000 a week cutting hair. So what was my league? That's what I want to know. Because these are women that are like sixes playing games.
Wow. Sixes playing games. Brother, that's 6 foot tall. You're the same height as Brad Pitt, for the record. Brad Pitt is your height, 5'11". I don't know if you know that. De facto 6 footer, good looking guy. You're out of Texas, right? Originally out of Texas, right? Dallas or Houston?
Dallas.
Out of Dallas. So that's like one of the high value man cities. Shout out to Kevin. He would frequently cite Dallas as an example of high value brothers. Successful guy in business for yourself, make at least $3,000 a week. Yeah, I mean, what's not to like? And you're saying you're getting the runaround from sixes. No disrespect to sixes, but you're getting the rigmarole and the nuclear rejections and the trying to finesse you and waste your time and all that sort of thing from the sixes. Do I have that right?
If you're saying finesse by like trying to get money out of me.
Well, not only just trying to get money out of you, but also just wasting your time, taking your phone number and acting a fool and all the rest of it.
Yeah, I've never really had anybody try to get money out of me, but they do take my number and waste a lot of my time. Yeah, not anymore. But
just for the record, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Holleman, when he was a barber, and we'll get into what he does these days momentarily, but when he was a barber in the Dallas area, pulling in $3,000 a week, that means that he made $12,000 a month and $144,000 a year. So that's definitely high value man money. No, according to Kevin himself, that's high value man money in Dallas. He's getting the runaround. Okay. Because the argument goes that if you're a brother and you're making $42K or less, which is essentially, 1/3 thereabout what you're making, and all the rest of it, you're average at best. This is what you're going to get. You are by no definition in any ways average at best. You're quite exceptional, and you're getting the runaround from the lovely ladies in Dallas. I just want to make sure that that's on the record. Do I have that right?
Yes. It was better in other cities, but it's still not worth it.
Okay. So what do you think of since this brother brings up Kevin Samuels' name? What did you think of his work? Did you see the one show he did? And it was like one of his tour de forces. He did a show saying, look, I love sisters. I married 2 of them, but and I want to see them win. But look, it's time for brothers that got their act together to start, looking elsewhere if they can't make it work with American sisters. I don't know if you saw that show. You did see it. Okay. So what were your thoughts of Kevin Samuels and that show in particular and his whole verve in general?
Well, honestly, I thought whenever he said that would kind of but kind of push what I'm doing now. I thought maybe it would influence a lot of men to go look outside the United States. But I think I did that more than he did. I think he just brought it up because he brought it up one time and I never heard it again.
Right. Okay. Very good.
I'm going to marry a black woman, just not from the United States.
I see. That's interesting, because that is a very popular trope among black women. So I know you've heard this. The argument is, shout out to Kanye West, he go on ahead and get himself a white girl. But there's this idea in black America among black women that as soon as you get on and get you some high value man money, or you start making really good money and all the rest of it, you hurry up and get yourself a non-black woman. When the statistics show us that 83% of brothers like yourself wind up marrying a black woman in the United States, Adolph's black woman. But even brothers like yourself who leave the country, nothing scientific, but I would say somewhere over 50%, I don't know the exact number, somewhere over 50%, a clear majority of you when you leave the country, you go to places where there are black women. Brazil has more people of African ancestry than anywhere else other than Africa itself. Same thing with Colombia. Colombia has a significant black population. Cartagena and Choco being very popular destination points for a lot of brothers who go to Colombia because they want to, get with sisters. What do you say to this idea that a lot of sisters have that brothers like you are just you can't wait to get with a non-black woman, especially in light of the rise of just pearly things? What do you say to that?
Well, it's like what I said earlier. Black women are victims. They make everything about themselves as negative.
Okay, let me go to Platinum Elite. Platinum Elite with a $10 super chat says, "What is the economic background of the women you date? All of the women broke. Excuse me. Are all of the women broke and dusty bar girls? You are not dating smart women." Yes, that's another critique that I've heard, not just from black women, but some black men who argue that brothers like yourself are going and essentially taking advantage of barfly girls, of bar girls, of girls that are, of meager means, third worlders, dirty foot bitches. That's the term. That's a kind of crude term, but I'll use it, et cetera, et cetera. What do you say to that?
I think I don't know if he's talking about. Well, first of all, this dude's an idiot, but I don't know if he's talking about women in the United States or overseas. He should have stated that. I think there's more poor women in the United States than there are in Brazil. But women in Brazil don't have as much debt for shoes as women in the States. Yeah, I could really talk bad, but I'm not gonna do that. Are all women broke, dusty bar girls? No, I don't date. This dude is an idiot. I mean, he's just dumb.
Okay, yeah, I won't torture you anymore with that. Azriel, first of his name, comes back with another $10 super chat. He writes, "I hate the narrative that it's just how they deal with you, or if they meet the right guy, they'll cook for him. We literally had women go on Kevin's show saying they don't need a cookbook. Unreal." Your response, Austin?
Well, me and this chick were walking down the street, and there was this big dude that walked up and smacked her on the butt. And she asked me, why didn't I do anything? And I said, I'd be masculine and protect you for the right woman. How does that sound?
That's a good point. A lot of, because they're in the black community, there is this idea that I'll submit naturally if you read properly, if you read correctly, and so on and so forth. And I have heard a number of brothers like yourself say, "Well, look, I'll provide and all that if you're the right type of woman." And of course, ladies don't like to hear that. So that's a very fair point.
I bring up the protection part because they'll backdoor that with, "Oh, well, I got my own job." Okay, well, go buy a gun, defend yourself. So but don't look at me. You don't need me.
Yeah,
I'm not the right guy.
Yeah. What do you make of that if you're just the right guy, you're not the right guy? What do you make of that argument?
What is the right guy? In Brazil, all these women are submissive to every guy. That's how they get the right guy. Because clearly, I made a video and I said women are a horrible judge of character. But back in the day, women had to have the men in their family, either if they had arranged marriages or if they had the men in their family vet the men that they dated. Now they begged for the freedom to be able to do everything on their own. And now they end up with a dude with no car that still lives with his mother with no income. Tell me how that makes sense.
Yeah, you know what? That's a damn good point. I would have no problem with many black women if they were, they had those statements, that position. But I mean, just to be brutally frank, and I'm dating myself. I hope you don't mind my asking your age. I'm 53, and and you're what, in your 30s?
23.
You're 23. 23 years old. Okay, so you might not know this name, but I'm dating myself. I wouldn't have a problem with the lovely ladies, as my good friend brother Dennis Sperling calls them, if they had these standards and they had like a Barack Obama or a Brian McKnight type Negro on their arm. I'd be like, all right, fair enough. You got high standards and you have a man that, is in alignment with that, highly accomplished, tall, good looking guy and all that. Fair enough. But what I found, Austin, and you tell me, because you're young enough to be my son. So you tell me if you've seen the same thing. What I find that a lot of the lovely ladies of the black community say things like that, they typically don't have either one or two things. Either they don't have a man at all, or if they do, it's like what you talked about, the proverbial dusty. Has that been your observation as well?
Say that again one more time. I didn't understand that.
The ladies who make a big deal out of these standards and that they have and so on and so forth, I would say nothing about that if they had a Barack Obama or Brian McKnight type Negro on their arm. I'd be like, all right, fair enough, you know.
Yeah.
But what I find, and again, this is a generational thing. In my generation, I'm Generation X. I find that the ladies who say things like that either don't have a man at all, or they got a dusty man.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the same thing I'm seeing. I'm 53, you're 23. There's 3 decades of daylight between us. We're seeing the exact same thing. You're Generation Z, because you're not even the millennial. Millennials are between 25 and 40, my understanding. So you're 23. So you're the upper end of Generation Z. The argument goes that Generation Z, things are a lot different for them and so on and so forth. But from what you're telling me, you're seeing the same things that I'm seeing at 53. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's just so odd that, you know, I made this statement too. They say that, or they love to say that their grandmothers back in the day that, they were forced to be married and be beaten by their husbands because they didn't have any money coming in because he was the breadwinner. Okay, now you can provide for yourself and you're dying alone, or you're with a dude that you have to provide for, or he's whooping you and you still getting whooped. So what is the difference?
Right. Yeah, that's insane to me. The ladies that have the most to say, it's rare for a sister that's got a substantial brother on their arm to be talking crazy like that. It's always been my experience and observation that the ladies who talk crazy like that either ain't got no man at all. And when I say ain't got no man, I'm talking about they haven't had a man. I don't know about you, Austin. The ladies in my generation, Generation X, these ladies are in their 40s and 50s. When they talk like that, not only don't they have a man at all, they ain't have a man in like months, in many cases years, but they talking crazy. Or they got a guy and he's just dusty and she take care of them and all the rest of it. So in any event, let me go to the next super chat. Platinum Elite comes back with another $5 super chat. He writes, Austin has to go overseas to get women, and that makes you a simp, brother. You can't get women like guys like me, simp. Do you get called a simp?
That's the ignorance that so many men are seeing, you know, the shaming language. And you get it so much many times from these guys that look like penguins as well. They don't really have a defense for their argument, but they're typically no different than the same women that assail or more or less try to shame them. Guys, do me a favor, get the likes up. You guys are doing an awesome job tonight. I appreciate it. Get the likes up. We're going to finish this discussion, because when you examine, assess, collaborate, you're going to see how far, or you guys are seeing how far down the rabbit hole we're going. So guys, get the likes up. Go feed the robot. Thank you. All right, we're going to get back into it because this Platinum Elite is definitely on some foolishness, using shaming language. Also has to go overseas to get women, and that doesn't make him a simp. That makes him a wise man. A fool will stay in a country where he got to keep proving himself to a market that's overly inflated, and also a market that has a lot of hoflation. And a man will be a fool to do that. And as a professional, even though this is art for me, I tell men to go where you're celebrating, go where you can get your needs met as a man.
Simp for your position?
I mean, I think we need to restate what the definition of a simp is. You know, I think that word is just, in this case, that word is just be thrown, you know, it's just being thrown out there just as an insult, but I don't think it's a relevant word. I've been called a simp, but yeah, I don't think it's relevant to what he's trying to say.
Huh. Okay, fair enough. Let me go to they're getting a lot of super chats in here, so I'm going to acknowledge everybody. Zhao with the $5 super chat says, "Don't listen to Platinum Elite. His girlfriend cheated on him." Appreciate that. Thank you so much for that super chat. Legend from 81 writes with $5 super chat. He writes, once the 4s and 5s started acting like 7s and 8s, I knew it was time to use that passport. Self-improvement, my ass. Protect the bag, fellas. Your response to that? 4s and 5s acting like 7s and 8s. You kind of alluded to that earlier.
It's definitely guys overinflated egos. You got women that are subpar to average. They think they're better than men that are above them. Subpar to average women don't want average men. They want the best of men. That's a byproduct of entitlement and narcissism. And women of this generation are more complicit in that behavior, unlike any time in human history.
Would you mind elaborating a bit?
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, out here in Brazil, the 7s and 8s act like 4s and 5s. The women that are absolutely beautiful, when you get on FaceTime with them, they'll do their face like this because they don't know that they're beautiful. So which one would you rather deal with?
Wow. So you're saying that it's, and we're just using her because she's a famous name. You're basically saying anybody that's outside of the Gisele Bundchen type women, just internationally known for their beauty, fashion model, that sort of thing. Women outside of that, 9, 10 territory, 8s on down, they're typified like the types that you're talking about.
Yeah, they're insecure. In Brazil, even beautiful women are still insecure because there's so many of them. So that all of them aren't getting attention. I don't know why in the United States, women that aren't, hitting the gym or putting any effort into their looks are getting boosted. I don't know why that is, but yeah, I don't know.
May I ask you a question? I've yet to be in Dallas. I got a lot of listeners out of Texas, Dallas, and Houston, and I owe it to myself to go down and visit. But I do know I have a lot of listeners down there. A lot of brothers like yourself. A lot of my listeners are like you. That is to say, the average earner that listens to my show is 70K, not 42K, not barely 40K, not 35K, 70. It starts there, and I have a lot of them out of Texas. Have you the average black woman, 36 years old, so a bit older than you, 36 years old, 5'4" and about just under 200 pounds. Has that been your experience in Dallas, or is that different?
There are a lot of overweight women in Dallas. The salary is a lot higher than in most places, but there are fit women in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
But they believe that they're 11s and 12s, so I mean they're pretty much inaccessible. They're the ones that the fat women have high standards too, but I mean the fit beautiful ones have ridiculous Kevin Samuel standards, like the women that called into his show. They had those standards.
Right. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting.
There's a lot of beautiful women in Dallas though, but I mean it was all, I thought something was wrong with me for the longest. I came out here and I'm like, yeah, I'm just in the wrong place for my personality. No. Yeah,
because you strike me as a fairly laid back brother. You know, the prototypical Southern gentleman, easygoing, laid back type of guy. You strike me as that. You don't strike me yet. I'm from the Northeast. I'm from Philly, and I'm from the Northeast. And we Northeastern Negroes have, we're kind of, rapid fire, machine gun type of personality. But you strike me as different. So yeah. That's interesting. Passport OG with the 320 yen super chat. He says more freedom than ever, more miserable than ever. I think he's referring to the lovely ladies of today, or as Kevin would have said, the modern women. Johnny Walker with the $20 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, great interview so far, MOA. Thank you. He says, I am a millennial in tech making 6 figures, 5'11", in shape, and don't have time for masculine, overweight women or women with kids from Pookie. I only have time to use my passport. Now that's another thing, Austin, that's rather controversial. Many brothers that are inclined like you have said that too many ladies in our community have kids. Many of them have had kids without benefit of a husband. Many of them have had kids with guys that we typify as Pookie and Ray, Dusty, and so forth. Mm-hmm. fair enough. But in Brazil, Dominican Republic, and Colombia, and I looked into this, statistics bear out that there are many more baby mamas there than there are here. What do
I've
you?
heard that.
Yeah, what do you say about that? And what are your views with regard to what Johnny Walker said?
Well, I'll tell you that the men in countries like Colombia and Brazil and DR, they're first of all, and I was actually talking with a few dudes about this up here earlier. We were at the mall. Black American men, in particular, let's say Black American men, are the softest men on the planet when it comes to women. These dudes down here do not care about their women. That's why they like us. They know that we're gentlemen. They see our women get to walk all over us. They don't want to walk all over us, but at least they know that we're not going to be so. The women, the men down here, from what I've heard, beat these women.
Wow. Well, you know, the machismo culture that's Brazil is a Portuguese speaking culture, but it's still part of the Latin American world, I guess you could say. And the machismo culture is very strong. And I have to say, for the record, the ownership and management of this station does not condone in any way physical or psychological violence. But we have to say that that is part of the I guess you could say Latin culture to administer the all.
Homie James Turner, showing love. He said, just showing love, coach. And thank you, James. Thank you, brother. We're definitely talking in the future, but much love and blessings, brother James. And brother James has been traveling like a lot of men. I traveled to Brazil last year. I was in a movie called Frustrated. And in traveling, guys, I realized that they are correct. Men over there don't tolerate disrespect or the disrespect that so many men in America tolerate. And at some point, I'm going to have a show coming up soon. And Brother James, if you're free, I would love to have you as a guest on the panel talking about men that have traveled to Africa, because Africa is becoming a destination for single men that are looking for traditional women, with the understanding that those women are not perfect. They have issues as well. But Africa is a new destination spot for a lot of single men. So that's why these conversations are so important, because as a male empowerment therapist, I want to see you men win. Winning is everything. Because if you work hard, then you deserve the best. Hold tight.
Almighty pimp hand.
Whack, jack, smack.
Yeah. So there's that. And Dennis Sperling, Esquire, and I know you're familiar with him. He's a Gen Xer like me. And he also said that Black American men are perceived overseas as being much more gentlemanly toward their ladies. Some would say too soft, too easy. And many ladies overseas really actually like that, because the men in their cultures, in this case, Brazil, Colombia, and so forth, it's not uncommon for them to get the
whack, jack, smack.
So yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, the women in Brazil love how I talk to them, versus when they tell me how men here talk to them, it's more so demanding. I mean, not that I'm letting them push me around, but the men here talk to them like what these American women say, that we want a slave. That's how the women down here get talked to.
Wow. The Art of Will with the $2 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says platinum delete or platinum deceit. I think he's referring to the previous brother, Platinum Elite, who was referring to you as a simp. Johnny Walker with the $10 super chat comes back and says, entitled U.S. women that play games still want our time, attention, money, and energy. Unentitled foreign and want the thing, which is the better.
Entitled U.S. women that play games want our time, money. Oh, I mean, obviously, you see where I'm at.
I think that he said he voted with his feet. Appreciate you, brother. Shocks 112 with the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, Jet Life, old man. Salute to the guest. Thank you so much for that. Azriel, first of his name, with the $5 super chat, writes, Kevin told them to lose the weight and be nice to brothers. And when he died, they said, rot in piss. Yet Austin is giving alternatives and he's divisive. I don't know if you're aware of how Kevin was being treated by so many black women upon his untimely demise. I thought it was extremely undignified, and pretty much made his case in his final act that far too many ladies in the Black American community are kind of too far gone. What are your thoughts?
Kevin Samuels died the week before I went to Brazil the second time. So I got to see why I was going to Brazil again. And then I experienced what I experienced the first time in Brazil again, just a great experience with women. And that's actually when I got back and I was like, you know what? This isn't going anywhere. I'm going to start telling people they need to leave.
Wow. Okay, it's 48 minutes past the hour. You're listening to Obsidian Radio. My special guest all the way from Rio de Janeiro. This is the third trip for Austin, and he says he's there for good. And he's a young guy, he's not even 25. Young guy, tall guy, successful guy. He packed up and pulled up stakes from out of Dallas to go to Rio. And the chief reason why is because the women are better, bottom line. And that's what we're talking about tonight. And we're going to take your calls. You said you're okay with taking calls, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the call lines. If you have any questions for our special guest tonight, Mr. Austin Holleman, all the way from Rio de Janeiro, the link is in the chat room. Please, you don't have to go on camera if you don't want to go on camera, but you do have to show your face, and we don't want any crazy screen names. Okay, gentlemen, let's do that. Those rules go for the ladies too. If any ladies out there wants to come up and interact with my special guest tonight, Austin Holleman, please, you don't have to go on the camera, but you do have to show your face and no crazy screen names. Let's all respect each other. We want spirited, lively discussion. We do not want any foolishness. No park apeism, no crazy stuff like that. And at that point, did someone say apes?
Apes do not want war.
Okay, so Platinum Elite is here, and I imagine this is going to be an interesting exchange. Platinum Elite, you're on the air. Obsidian Radio with my special guest, Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
Yeah, how you doing, Obsidian, and your
Doing
guests?
Doing good.
Okay, I lived overseas for a considerable amount of time. I'm very, very familiar with the differences. Why you're 23 years old? How much success did you have with the local women at 23? You said how successful were you with the American women? Look, we don't have to talk about feminism. I know all about that. So we're talking about just how you're dealing with the women. How successful were you?
Shout out to my man Andrew Baker, and Andrew Baker's 1,000% correct. He says, "What's up, kosher?" Yes, the 304 inflation is real and undeserved, which is why many black men are already left mentally and soon to be physically gone. Yes, and you're right, James Bacon. That's a deal, right, brother? And thank you for your meritorious love offering, Andrew Baker. Thank you, sir.
Bet, right? That's
and
a
you
deal,
are 1,000%
right?
correct.
Deal, right?
Men are divesting.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
And that's why, guys, we have these conversations, because once again, it's a male empowerment therapist. My mission is for you to get the best outcomes that you can get, especially if you've done the work. We got educated brothers in here like James Turner, like Andrew Baker, like myself. It's a lot of educated brothers in here that are highly educated. They make good money. And you got women in America telling you that $75,000 is not enough. So I created a term called 304 inflation / hoflation. Because they think that they are better. And many times these women are women that are very promiscuous, have bad attitudes, and they have first world feminism instead of third world feminism, because third world femininity is superior to first world femininity. Hold tight.
Tell me how you're measuring success.
You said they would ghost you a lot. They frustrated you a lot. So did you ever, how successful, out of 5-6 dates, did you ever start having sex on a regular basis, or what? Was it hard for you to do it on, you know what I'm saying? Being intimate, it's a social life.
So I've had a lot of sex in the States, but the amount of women, let me finish that. The amount of women you'd have to jump through to get sex was ridiculous. And then again, after coming here and I seen how many I didn't have to jump through.
Mhm.
First, just like I said before, I wasn't getting a number if they weren't sexually interested. We all know in the United States that's not always the case.
Well, I mean, well, you're saying that like just because you get a number, you're supposed to get sex.
That's not what I said at all. But here's my thing. I don't sit I'm a barber, right? Before I was a barber, I would not go sit in the barber's chair and not want a haircut.
Well, that's I don't know what you mean by that. I mean, women are women. They're going to do what they do. I mean, you learn that young. You learn that 15, 14, 15, the way they are. Just because you date them, that don't mean you're going to mate them. You do it. There's women you start out, you want to perhaps, and then over time, you just don't find you're not attracted to them anymore. That's just a normal interplay between man and woman. That's what I'm saying.
The problem is in the States, she will not be even physically attracted to you from the first sight. And she'll still remember so she can have validation just to talk.
That's what you've experienced.
That's what me and millions of other men on the internet.
Okay. I got you. So you were not very successful.
I've had
Can
a
we
lot
deduce
of
that?
I've had a lot of I've had a
you
lot
had
of
a lot.
When I seen that I got a better deal over.
It's not that men don't have success, but they're trying to get better success. You could be successful with women that are still subpar. You can get with women that are subpar. But this brother appears to have higher standards. Because he have higher standards, he wants a woman that's more consistent with his traditional mindset. What this man is trying to do is use some hocus pocus and Jedi mind tricks, and he's trying to find holes in Austin's argument. He's trying to presume and assume that he cannot get women here in America. I don't think that's the case. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's the case. There are many men that are successful men here in America. They're billionaires, millionaires, and they still having the same issues. But this man is using what's called a straw man argument where there's no evidence to say that this man never could get the outcomes that he wanted. And this is more of the same that we have in this toxic culture where we're trying to minimize the importance of men and the things that they want.
Overseas,
Mm-hmm.
I think I had sex 3 times in the States this year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you can let's just get right to this, because this is a major point of concern for the brothers, and I'm not here to judge any brother. Let's be honest here. You've had sex with ladies here in the United States, you chatted them up. You've had sex with ladies over in Brazil, you chatted them up, and you've done a blind taste test, so to speak, and you found that the ladies in Brazil are better
by a lot.
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, brother. But everybody, for me, that's not my thing. And if I did pursue it, I probably would go to Asia. I do wonder why you guys like Brazil so much. I mean, it really makes me wonder about this.
Isn't it obvious? Isn't it obvious?
Well, because it's cheap. Because it's
no,
cheap.
Brazilian women are known for their backsides. Don't you know that? Like you said, you prefer Asian ladies. No disrespect to Asian ladies. I have nothing against Asian ladies, but Asian ladies are known for backside. You're looking at African people.
Well, brother, I am a ass man now. But I'm saying Brazil as just the makeup, it's just not my thing. That's all. I guess everybody, if that's what you prefer, you could do that. But I think that you do have to tell the truth, Austin. At 23, you threw the towel in pretty early. I'm not saying go out here and get married or wind up.
What you're saying is fuck my life up a little bit longer and then go to Brazil.
Well, if that's what you consider it, that's what you consider it, that you feel like you can't make it in America, so you got to go to Brazil. I mean, you certainly can do that, brother. I saw plenty of dudes get married to foreign women. I saw plenty of dudes get fucked over by foreign women. So I didn't really see a big difference. I do see a difference as far as the women themselves. You're right, they're very different. Distinctive differences between a female from overseas and a female in the States. They're almost two completely different things. But I still think, and that probably seems to be our main thing, that you can get them here. You just got to know how to talk to them. You got to know how to deal with them. And you should not be, your success rate shouldn't be so low that you're booking a flight. I mean, to move overseas. That's ridiculous.
Check this out. Here's another dumb talking point. Whenever I'm talking to people, and he gets off. Anyway, whenever I'm talking to people and they say, oh, maybe you need to get out of your area. Maybe it's just Dallas. I did get out of my area. I went to Brazil.
Yeah. You can't get no more out of your area than that. Thanks a lot, Platinum. I appreciate it. Vince with the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says women going overseas to Gambia and Jamaica and Instagram models in Dubai getting pooped on, and women can take part in a globalized marketplace. Why can't men? Now I know this is a little bit before your time, Austin. There was a very famous movie. It was an adaptation of a best-selling book called How Stella Got Her Groove Back. I don't know if you ever saw the movie. Came out in the 90s, if I remember. And the original book was written by a black woman named Terry McMillan. And she wrote another book that became a best-selling novel and was a film adaptation called Waiting to Exhale. So this all came out in the 90s. And the premise of the book was that this lady, black lady, went to Jamaica, got with the proverbial Winston on the beach, and went from there, and brothers felt some kind of way about it. And the argument was that black women need to do what they need to do them. And I find it interesting that the gender turnabout here is very interesting, because in the 1990s there wasn't no huge scandal the way it is in the 2020s with regard to brothers like yourself. Do you know anything about that movie and book, and what are your thoughts about that?
I've heard about Stella's Got a Groove Back, but I don't know. There's always a double standard with women. I'd have to read that book to better answer that question. But yeah.
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much for the super chat, my brother. Let me see if I can get Pablo. Pablo, you're on the air, Obsidian Radio, with my special guest, Austin Holleman. Go right ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, Obsidian and Austin?
How you feeling, man?
Hey, what's up? So I'm going to try to explain further what Austin was saying. The amount of effort that is expended is 046.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the amount of energy and effort put in to what you're getting out does not equal up. So the investment that you of time and energy that you have to put in here in the United States with women, the juice ain't worth the squeeze. The juice is not worth the squeeze. And so that is the problem that the
Pablo, are you there? It sounds like he got cut off. Pablo, stay right where you are.
Can you hear me?
There you go. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I was saying the problem that the passport bros have is not that we quote unquote can't get women. It's that the juice is not worth the squeeze. The effort that you have to expend to get a comparable woman and a comparable experience is too much. It's too time consuming. It's too frustrating. It's too many games, too much fugazi behavior. It's just way too much of that.
Austin, your response.
I would agree. I was at the mall, me and two other American guys that know me from YouTube, and there was, first of all, I don't know what it is about being outside the United States, but women appreciate you a lot more. Like they don't mind showing choosing signals. Anyway, it was something as simple as, asking her what her name was, and I think I just told her I wanted to get to know her. She gave me her number, and we've been talking today.
Wow.
In the United States, y'all are, while she's texting me maybe an hour later, you guys that are still dating in the United States are putting a stopwatch on to make sure you don't text her too soon so she doesn't think that you're thirsty.
Wow, this is deep. Mr. Syed with the £5 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, Austin Holleman has all the credentials to be the king of the passport, brothers. Keep pushing HRH Austin 1. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. Let me go to the catalog. The catalog, you're on the air, Obsidian Radio, with my special guest, Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
Peace, everyone. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
I think I was listening since the beginning. I just had some pretty genuine questions.
Okay.
The first question that I have is because I saw that someone elite was asking about like your success rate. And you mentioned, Austin, that you've had a lot of sex. For me, that's not success. So as far as like relationships go, really building with someone in the US, have you had the opportunity to do that, or it kind of was cut short because of how these women were, perceiving you like
Yeah, I
that?
want to give my guests a chance to respond, and then I have my own response to that question. Go right ahead, Austin.
I'm gonna tell you why it's not success to you. You know why? Because
Why is that?
you're a woman. Okay, that's correct. That's not successful. So that's why that's for you. And I said that. That's why I asked. He was making it sound like how much sex am I getting? That's why I said that. But I have had relationships. But here's the difference between me and most men. I'm not gonna sit around. A lot of people like to discredit me and say, "Well, how many relationships have you had?" What I hear is, how long are you gonna fuck your life up before you go get put on?
Yeah, I understand that.
Go get married and then go have somebody divorce. Well, I'm not gonna say the word, but divorce you and take all your stuff, and then I'll give you your green card to go overseas. No, thank you.
Yeah,
I'd rather do it now.
Yeah, and what I would say, Miss Catalog, is this: I respect ladies like yourself who say sex isn't the bar for success. It's the bar for success is relationships. I respect that position, that point of view from you or any other lady. But what I would say is this: I'm inclined to agree with Austin. We are a sexually reproducing species. Without sex, you're just a roommate. You're just friends. Sex, it matters a lot to men. We have like 8 times the amount of testosterone you do. Sex matters a lot to us. If sex isn't on the table, sooner rather than later, freakier rather than not, much more freakier and kinkier rather than vanilla. If that's not on the table as immediately as possible, ASAP, we consider that wasting our time. Now, I don't expect you to understand that. I don't expect you to even like or respect it, but that's the reality. As far as men are concerned, we are a sexually reproducing species. That is why we are here. We are here. We are put on this planet to. So that's my position on that. Any follow up you may have, Ms. Catalog, before we go on to the next caller?
Yes. So with men needing to procreate and things of that nature, since you're in another country and these women were raised differently, which gave them different values, if you were to marry one of these women, would you raise your children to have children with them? Would you raise your children according to the culture that you're currently living in society wise? Or, what's your intention with that? Because, their culture is what shaped them.
Well, then, yeah, I would want my kids to be raised in that culture as well. I told you, U.S. culture is dumb.
Yeah, I agree. U.S. culture is dumb, but at the same time, you're still like a citizen. You grew up here, so your mental somewhat, of course, that's the reason why you're where you're at now, is kind of affected by our culture. So blending the cultures, that's it's a conversation for another time. But what does that look like to men in this area? You know what I mean? Because it's more than just getting a beautiful woman and having her being submissive to you. You also have to blend your cultures and your beliefs.
I don't have any statistics on brothers going to Brazil and having relationships and marriage and things like that. I don't have any statistics, but I get the sense that a lot of the Brazilian ladies have no problem with coming from Americans. That you're well boots on the ground over there in Rio for the 3rd time, Austin.
So I'm not really understanding her question. I mean,
she's saying
that American culture is very at the end of the day. That's how I look at it, not sexually, but when it comes to finance, when it comes to culture.
It's not that perverted. We got a lot of men that haven't had sex.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, I'm not saying perverted just as far as sexually. Here in America, while their culture is different, like you said, they're fine with not having as much. And that's cool. We don't need that much, but at the end of the day, it's a little different than,
No, men do need that much. Men do need that much. Do you know how much sperm the average man generates in a lifetime?
No, I'm talking about as far as material things and finance.
Well, we'll get to the material things in a minute. Do you know how much sperm the average man generates in a lifetime?
No.
16 gallons. Did you know that?
No.
The average black man today lives to be about 72. So on average, the average black man is pumping out 16 gallons. Today, we have more men in American society than ever not having sex at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that hard to imagine the situation there. Pressure bust pipes.
I mean, I hear that, but once you bust pipes and you have babies, you got to worry about, because that's why we're dealing with what we're dealing with now. Children not being raised correctly. So the woman you're dealing with is like a mess, and the men we're dealing with, it's a mess because we're being raised wrong. So they're being raised in a way that they respect people, they love people for who they are. And I'm just asking that, and more so like to the comment section and everything, like, are these things that you guys are thinking about?
Yeah, I was about to say, because it seems to me that by all accounts, Austin seems like a pretty well-adjusted, laid-back, successful, ambitious guy. What's not to like?
Well, it's not about not liking him. It just comes down to your values at the end of the day. Like, I can't go to Africa and be like, I'm an American in Africa. I have to kind of coexist in some type of way and assimilate. So that was just
there are actually a number of ladies in Africa who came from the United States, black women, who are having a heck of a time assimilating because they're American women and they have a hard time assimilating to those other cultures. So it seemed to me this is a problem for the ladies more so than the fellas. That's what it seemed like to me. Austin?
Yeah, because I'm doing pretty good over here.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're doing bad. I'm just speaking of like the legacy that you're going to have and your plans for your legacy.
I think that's a better question asked of the ladies. I want to thank you for calling in. Theo Waff with the $10 super chat. Theo, the director. Appreciate you, brother. He says, I started dating abroad when I was 20. Platinum elite simp can take Keisha. I prefer feminine, ready to marry blonde Darina. Your response, Austin?
I don't blame him. I don't blame him. That's good. He started dating abroad when he was 20. He beat me to it.
He has indeed. He's been married and no, he's a widower, but he has been married overseas and he's looking for his second wife. Successful men do tend to marry quite a bit. Let me go to Shapeshifter. Shapeshifter, you're on the air, Obsidian Radio. Go right ahead.
Peace, brother. Peace, brother. Oh, how are you, sir?
Doing great, man. Go right ahead. You're on the air with Austin Holleman.
Brother Austin, man, I'm going to be quick. Brother, I'm 36, man. Stay on your square. Them last two callers that I was calling, I don't know what they talking about, brother. Do your thing. Do your thing. I did have one question for you, man. Is Brazil the only place you went to abroad? Have you tried some of the other countries like Costa Rica, DR, Colombia?
I just got back from yesterday.
Right on, brother. Right on, bro. Well, man, oh, my bad. I did have two questions. My bad. Well, I know the problem I have. I actually didn't start doing my traveling abroad to my early 30s. So again, man, keep doing your thing because it sucks out here, and get them young brothers to do it. But it's all you know, not a lot of skepticism, and honestly, a lot of brothers are scared. Talk to me.
I think it would be more in my age bracket because we're a lot more sporadic and risky right now.
Right on.
In my Facebook group, I have a lot of young dudes that have been posting their passport that said that I've inspired them to get it. So I haven't met many of the young dudes overseas yet, but
yeah,
I think the next 2 or 3 months we'll be seeing some of them around here.
Well, brother, man, I don't chime in. I don't come in video calls often. I'm more of a chat warrior, man. You know what I'm saying? Again, the peace to the brother. Oh, man, let me on. I just had to come in because any brother, you young brothers talking this passport business, keep doing y'all thing. Go see the world, man. So, hey, just like the sister before, she doesn't know. Like, she thinking all the men. The problem with a lot of women, they think all of us men, we just got, you know what I'm saying, coochie by the boatloads, where there's only certain select. And why wait till rest in power, brother Kevin Samuels, but him and the lead attorney, they both kind of had similar viewpoints as far as like, we won't, get as much ass as we like to until our 30s in America. Why wait? You know what I'm saying? Why wait where you can go elsewhere? Like I said, go to where you appreciate it, go to where you appreciate, not tolerate it, my brother.
So that I want to touch on that too. That first of all, if you wait until you're 30 years old to start having sex, you're gonna hate women by then.
That's fact.
Now you're really not gonna respect them. But when I was in Thailand, I would say I got it all out of me. You can have a lot of sex in Thailand, so I got it all out of me. And now, first thing when I got to Brazil, I'm like, I want to go on a date now. That's what it's like for men to not be deprived. So this whole 90 days, he needs to wait 90 days. That's not beneficial for the woman at all. She's doing more harm to herself.
Wow. Thank you so much. Just super bad bitch, boss chick. I can't do bad bitches, boss chick, and thought culture. I want to appreciate you for that, Josiah Walker, with the $10 super chat. He writes, I tried with American women until my early 30s. The ROI is incredibly low in the States, even for accomplished men. In the United States, dating coaches like Fresh and Fit even complain about the games that women play, and they have status. These are very successful guys. Good on Fresh and Fit. Wish them nothing but continued success. What do you say in response to that, Austin?
Andrew Tate, I've seen when he was advertising for his course.
And that is the issue that we're having, guys. Once again, that's 304 inflation. That is 304 inflation at its highest. Suitable men that have status, money, looks, height, they still are having issues because the market is so unregulated that it needs to deregulate itself. And the way that it deregulates itself is that as men, you cannot feed that narcissistic supply. You have to get with women that can honor and respect you as men. You have to come into a relationship with power. If these women can't respect you and honor you, then you wait until you can get your passport, continue to build yourself, and travel abroad. I believe in men getting the best outcome and getting the best bang for their buck, because that's synonymous with what my man Peaceful Life called it. He called it relationship capitalism. I parroted that by coming up with a term called relationship inflation. And the market is so inflated now that men are having to travel abroad because the women here, their egos have gotten so big. And $75,000 is not enough. And that's a shame.
To teach men how to basically have game or how to create this FBI agent like Instagram to get women. And he's telling stories, recent stories, and while he's been this big time millionaire, about how he has to play games with the women. And this dude's worth like $800 million. Wow. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows Andrew Tate. And he's still having to run game.
Wow. It sounds very familiar to what Dennis Sperling told me. Everybody knows Dennis Sperling is very well known, very successful attorney. And he told me, he was on the show once, and he said, listen, man, this idea, he said, I know and respect what it is that you do, obviously, and you're the dating coach for the non-select guy. So let me tell you something. I'm tall. I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu and box. I'm successful. I got a boat, got property overseas, educated lawyer, and I still have to deal with BFF. That black female fuckery. He says this so that the idea that you're not tall enough, or you don't got the right education, or you don't make enough money, that's a bunch of bunk. They do it to all of us here in the States. And my thinking is this: can 20,000 Frenchmen be wrong? If Andrew Tate is saying it, Dennis Sperling is saying it, Austin Holleman is saying it, can all of us be wrong? That's my question.
I'm making it up.
Yeah, exactly. Let me go to Dual Dab. Dual Dab, you're on the air. Obsidian Radio with Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
So I've got a couple of questions for the young man. One, comment first. It seems like he's more about sex tourism and sexual gratification than he is about building a family, a business, or some kind of a legacy other than just getting women. And then the second question is, does he realize Black Brazilians and Black Americans have pretty much had the same time in the Western Hemisphere, and Black Americans have done a whole lot better with, like racial justice and all. Does he realize how racist Brazil is, and how is he going to navigate that in the future, because he's got the power of the American dollar. So they'll deal with him because they know that he's coming with American dollars. But he's still black at the end of the day, and the black people in Brazil do not get any kind of justice whatsoever. So how is he going to deal with that? And why hasn't he spoken about his lack of finding the female he wants was because he wanted to build a family and not just because he wanted to have sex? Because it just seems like he's just about having sex. I understand he's a young man, but
I'm old enough to be his daddy, and I just want to have sex. How about that? I'm old enough to be Austin Holleman's daddy, and I just want to have sex.
But can't you just have sex with your wife? Why do you have to have sex with multiple women? Wouldn't you turn
Why
those
not
women
have
into
sex
women
with multiple women? Hey, well, hold on. Why not have sex with? Hang on a second, Austin. I got this. Why not have sex with multiple women? I've never been married. I'm a confirmed bachelor. Now I am in a committed relationship. That's true. But why? I don't see the argument against having sex with multiple women as long as they are of legal. I don't know what the legal situation in Brazil. Here in the United States is 18. I'll raise it to 21 to make sure it's legal. As long as she's legal and willing, I don't see what the problem is.
Well, you turn those women into the women you say you don't want to be around, because if every guy is having sex with those women, then they're going to be the same women that you're talking about you don't want.
Well, I don't know about you. I love hoes. I love Babylonian. Bring on the Babylonian whores is what I say. I love them. I love hoes.
I'm just like, if you feel that way, that's fine, right? But these guys that talk about the reason that they're having a bad time is because the women are all bad. Well, you're turning them bad. So why? And they never say, I'm just looking for one woman to build one family with. Go by property.
I don't necessarily believe that they're turning them bad. If women, people are assuming that these men are dragging these women into these relationships, and men are not dragging these women into these relationships. Women, they are very liberal. They're liberal with their sexuality. They're liberal with having sex. The men that can get those women are just willing participants. Remember, 30% of men are virgins in this country. So they're acting like these men are coercing these women into sexual escapades, and they're not. Some of these women are actually having more sex than men. So, you know, depending on what you believe in faith, I know some people, it goes against their spiritual code and they see it as fornication. But to those that are secular, they're just doing what normal men do. They're not coercing these women. They're not making them bad if these women are choosing and willing, and they're willing participants in having sex with multiple men, because now the hookup culture has become at an all-time high.
Property here and do this and do that. They're only talking about, I want to have a lot of sex and I don't want trouble getting the sex that I want.
So what do you? So Dual Dabs put a number of things on the table. Let's deal with the first one and get that out of the way, and then we'll come back to the easy one. The easy one is sex. Let's get the first one out of the way, Austin. The idea that Brazil is as, or if not more, racist than American society. A lot of black women here gripe a lot about colorism, brothers preferring lighter skinned black women, and so on and so forth. What is your view on that?
The first thing you asked was not a question, first of all. Second, you sound like a virgin. Third, I have a video where I talked about how I was racially, now I wouldn't even say it was racially profiled here, but I experienced a form of racism from the police here in Brazil. And you see, I came back a third time. So it can't be that bad. I'm an American too. They're not just gonna smoke. They're not just gonna smoke me.
It's not bad because you have American dollars, and plus you're just so focused on getting easy sex that you're willing to.
So he's supposed to focus on difficult sex,
right?
Well, no. I totally understand that. But I think the problem with a lot of men have is you're fantasizing about what a woman is. She's a human being and she wants stuff, right? You want stuff too. So you can't just expect her to open her legs for you and you take whatever you want and then she gets nothing in return.
Okay, so what am I supposed to
get? Orgasms in return, brother. She's getting pleasure. But a lot of women get immense pleasure. I know this for a fact. Gentleman never tells, but I've known quite a few ladies that get immense pleasure getting their man off.
Well, yeah, but there's certain type of women like that, but not all women are like that. Look,
every woman feels good when she's getting dick down.
Not every woman.
Every woman moans.
But there's some women that want that in love. They want to be in love with the guy that
they are in love. They're in love getting
they don't want to be. They don't want to be.
They are in love getting that.
Right. Women are made mental when they're run through by a bunch of guys. They're made mental that way. You will make a woman mental if a bunch of guys she loves run through her. She will become mental.
She
You will
giving
do
it up.
because
guy's sipping too hard.
because that's how they feel like they need to keep that man that they have.
Apparently,
I mean,
they're
that's a
only
good
in the
feeling to
only in
have.
the United
It's
States.
true. But black women that give it up keep men around longer than women that don't.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
If the man is a good man, but the men that just want to have sex, like Mr.
But the women
Austin
are
there,
attracted to the
are
guys
just
who
gonna.
ain't crap.
But
So,
the guy,
sir,
Mhm.
you haven't been listening. You
I've
did
listened to
not
you.
just you didn't. You must have walked away from the stream.
No,
sir.
I'm listening. I've listened to you. You're a young man that wants a lot of sex. That's not hard to find
I'm
out.
an
So,
older
you
man
know,
and I want a lot of sex.
I want a lot of sex too.
No, but sir,
Mhm.
what you if you were listening like you claim you were, I don't think it was true. I just said I got it all out of me while I was in Thailand. And what did I say I wanted when I got to Brazil?
You
I
wanted
wanted
a
to go on a date.
Yeah.
You want to
That's
go
it.
on a date, yeah. But earlier, before that, you did say that you had a lot of sex in America, and then you had even easier sex in Brazil.
Yeah, it's all out of me. Now what?
So you're looking for a wife. You're there. You're looking for a wife. You're gonna buy some land.
Hey, if I feel like I need to get married, but I don't go around.
So you're not looking for a wife.
I don't go. Nope. I don't recommend any
Why
man
should he
go
be looking
around
for? He's only 23 years old, man. Why
But
should he be looking for a wife?
so all he wants to. So he just said that when he's in America, that he takes the women out and gets friend zoned because he takes her out 3 nights a week and doesn't get any sex. So what he's saying
So
is
he
in
went over to
Brazil.
Brazil and he doesn't have to do that anymore.
Exactly.
And now he's
So
getting
in
plenty
Brazil,
of sex. And what is the problem with it? It seems like you got a problem with him getting plenty of sex now.
I'm not. I don't have a problem with it. I'm
And he
saying
doesn't have
no.
to take women out and deal with 90-day rules, getting finessed, wasting time, nuclear rejections. He goes to Brazil. He goes to the mall. He sees a lady. The lady
Right.
sees him. He
But
chats
the
them up. He texts
Right.
them. And the
But
next day,
the reason he's getting that in Brazil is because there's an imbalance because he has the American dollars. He can't do that here in America. So he has to
my
go
brother
do
is making damn near 150 grand a year. Trust me, the vast majority of black women do not make that. Trust me.
Right, but there's very few women here that are going to let him run over them and just use them for his sexual gratification, and they get nothing out of it other than sex. Because at the end of the day, the woman is going to want a nest. At the end of the day,
but they'll let.
This guy is clearly lost and does not understand female nature. Women will always give their body to men they find sexually titillating. And that there are a few that don't do it. There are some women that preserve their body, but in general, on average, most women in the West, they want to give their better years, their sexual prowess to the men that they find attractive. And then they want to get a cupcake like this dude that's talking to put a ring on their finger after they've been ran through and had fun. And that's why so many guys that's why I said the part of men being optimized is understanding female nature. This man acts like these men are coercing these women into the bedroom. I'm not talking about snake whispers that lie to women. I'm not talking about those kind of men. But these women know what they're getting into when they're dealing with these men. They know what they're getting into. And for this guy to say what he's saying sounds idiotic.
Pookie do it, right?
Oh,
Pookie's not your concern. Your concern is
Hold
finding the woman that you want.
Hold it. Stop. Now you saying that's not his concern. Answer his question.
But Pookie's not his concern. My concern is the woman that I
Are you telling me that Pookie ain't doing it?
His concern is the woman.
Are you telling me that Pookie ain't doing it?
It doesn't matter. I don't.
Are
care
you
what Pookie's
telling
doing.
me? You know what? Okay, I'm going to ask you one more time.
Sure.
He said Pookie is able to do it. You said it's not the concern. Don't change the subject. Are you telling us that Pookie, Mike, Peanut, One Pump Paul, Shotgun Mike? You're telling me they're not doing it?
They're doing it, but not with the same quality of woman that he's looking for.
You know what? Okay, all right, I'm done. Mr. Scott, Mr. Scott, one up, please, Mr. Scott. God damn it. Okay, I've had enough. Let me go to MRT 094 with the $2 super chat. He says, for support, appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for your super chat. Y'all keep those super chats rolling in. Cash App, PayPal, super chat, or Patreon. We continue. My man, the Naughty Bear, in the building with the $10 super chat. He says, you go, Austin. I can't wait for your content in Bearzil, Obergado. Thank you so much for that, the Naughty Bear. I appreciate it. That's an interesting title. Let me get my man, Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Fantastic, you're on the air. Obsidian Radio. Go right ahead with Austin Holleman live from Rio de Janeiro. Go right ahead. And by the way, I'm glad that you're back stateside. Thank you so much for your service, brother.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Thank you.
What's up, Austin, bro? I heard a lot about you, man. You done caused a lot of trouble around in these streets, bro, young fella.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey, first off, congrats to you, man. Doing good things. Young fella, 23 years old, traveling internationally, all these different things, man. And let's just hop to it, bro. You travel, like I said, I saw you on BMT. Shout out to him too. You was over in Thailand, right? So it's not just here. You're not just sticking to South America, whatever. You're literally doing the whole around the world thing. So, do you see anybody other than black men traveling? Just simple question.
Yes.
Course,
In Thailand,
right?
the majority of the people in Thailand are white.
Wow. So hold on, brother. Can you say that again, brother Austin? What's the majority of people?
The majority of people that are traveling in Thailand are white. And I'll tell you this: in certain races go certain places. Okay, black men go to South America. That's the majority of us are in Central and South America. White men go to Asia. Okay, that I don't know why they think it's just black. White men have been doing this for a long time, over 100 years.
Yeah, so of course, when you in Brazil and you in Colombia, you see white people there too, right?
Yes.
Okay, so why is
more
it
white people than black?
So and American people too, right? American, not just American, European, you see them getting from Australians. So why is it, brother? Why is it that you and brothers like you that look like you are the only people getting penis police, brother? Why are all these dick detectives out here concerned with 23-year-old brother Austin Holleman, man? Why do you think that is, brother?
I don't know. That's a good question. I wish I had the answer to that. I wish I had.
So listen, man. Listen, bro. I'm in the military, so like I said, I travel. You know what I'm saying? I know the whole thing about traveling internationally around the world, all these different things, man. So, and the last dude, I don't know who at 23 years old, even in the States, is getting married. It's just so many unrealistic things and questions that get asked, man. But listen, man. All I'm gonna say is this, brother. Continue to be a trailblazer. You're doing good things, man. Encouraging more black men to explore their options. Basically, everybody only cares about what the hell we do. Black men been on the plantation too long, like you said. No other group of men in the world get questioned about where they go. You know what I'm saying? Especially when the question is, oh well, he's going to Brazil, he's going to Colombia, he's going to DR. Well, everybody goes to Vegas, right? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So what's the difference of you traveling nationally for sex or for hookups or for whatever, versus going out of the country to do the same thing? So, man, listen, bro. You the big police brigade, brother. I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying? It's in full force, but you're doing great things, man. And keep it up, man. I've heard a lot about you, bro, and I'm seeing you're doing your thing, brother. Just keep it up, man. Be wise out here.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fantastic. Appreciate you, brother. Platinum Manit has been contributing to the show quite a bit tonight. Comes back with another $5 super chat. He writes, I was smashing women overseas when I was 19. Guys like Austin come off like a loser. I came back home and smashed Keisha and Becky. Your response, Holleman.
What year was this?
That's a good question. Platinum, you might want to answer that. Let me go to MRT 094. You're on the air at Obsidian Radio with Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
Hey, thank you for having me on. So I had some questions, but there's something that popped up when you're talking to that dual dab fellow. You said you don't recommend men going out dating with the mindset of looking for a wife. I was curious when you said that. Like, what's your reasoning behind that?
Well, the reason I say that is, like, for example, if you meet a woman, I've heard AMS say this too, and I'm not saying I'm dating coach, advice, but I'm just saying it has always made sense, because women in the United States, first of all, you can be thirsty for just about anything in the States, but you're definitely thirsty if you tell a woman you're looking for a relationship. And that might just be a U.S. mindset that I haven't broke out of yet. But just in the United States, I just always knew better than to say that. Let her ask you first.
Okay.
Yeah, if y'all get a relationship and you feel like you marry her, of course you got to propose. But just what happened? I mean, who wants to be the guy that's sending flowers to the job. For some reason, that's a turnoff to U.S. women. You bringing flowers to the job, you know.
Yeah.
Those aren't dudes that just want sex. Those are dudes that want relationship.
Right.
All right. Thank you for the answer. I guess my next question would be: you mentioned you're from Dallas. I mean, I live in Dallas too. I'm originally from New York City. I've only been living a couple of years, but like, have you like experienced any other dating markets in the U.S. Or you like born and raised in Dallas?
I was born and raised in Dallas, but I did try to go. Well, I didn't try. I went to Austin. I had a better shot in Austin. I actually thought I was winning. I thought I was winning while I was in Austin because Dallas is that bad for me. It was.
Wow.
But I thought I was winning. And I went to Austin. I thought that was it, but I went to Rio and I really saw what winning was like. So
yeah, that's interesting. I mean, because I come from New York City, and I think New York City dating, the dating is a cesspool. And I thought Dallas was. I mean, Dallas still has its issues. It's still United States, but I thought it was, at least better than New York. I mean, New York was absolutely horrible. I guess my next question would be, so like, I'm born and raised in Jamaica. I've visited Jamaica, and I've when I interact with girls down there, I feel like some subsection of girls don't mess with you just because you're not a Jamaican man. Do you feel like you run into that at all in Brazil or wherever you're traveling?
That they won't mess with you because you're not like
you're not like from their country. You're not a ethnic Brazilian or something like that.
No, I've never ran into that I didn't run into that in Colombia either or Thailand.
Okay.
Nowhere. I think that maybe in the Middle East that might be a thing.
Okay.
Or India.
Yeah.
I know for sure. From what I've heard, I know for sure India. That's a thing.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Thanks a lot, MRT 094. I appreciate it. Walton with the $2 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, "How did you learn Portuguese?"
Duolingo, but Duolingo is basically what gave me the words and helped me remember them, but I didn't actually, they weren't actually able to just roll off my tongue like they do when I'm here.
Yeah, you're not fluent.
Until I got in Brazil. Or when I started communicating with Brazilian women online, like I met some chicks on Instagram, and then when I came here to see them, just that type of practice is what made it a lot easier. Because if you're not practicing with a real person having conversations, the app can only do so much. But Duolingo did help me a lot.
Gotcha. My man Zhao with the $5 super chat says, "For Andrew Tate, he has to play games with American women, but has a bunch of women living with him in Romania. You can't do that in America." Your response, Austin, to that?
I would agree. It would be a circus having a bunch of American women under one household.
That's a good way of describing it. Theo Waff in the building. What's going on, brother? You're on the air with Austin. Go right ahead.
Austin, look, man, I'm so proud of you. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
The way you answer, especially how these wackos.
Yeah.
I can't believe how insane they are. Like asking about, well, what about another culture? Yeah, that's exactly right. I want the other culture inside my kid. And for her, it's amazing because it's not her culture.
Yeah.
That's what's really going on. Because American women tend to be cultural imperialists. Something I talked about constantly abroad. So when I was there again abroad, I'm in not in Texas right now, but when I was there, American women were like, "Oh no, these kids they'll be half Japanese." Like, yeah, that's right, that's what we want. Oh, how do they'll speak Japanese? Yeah, that's what we want. So you're doing a great job. I'm thrilled with how you're doing it. Keep it up. I hope to see you in Rio. Glad you're here talking Obsidian. Obsidian, this has been a great time. I've really been enjoying it. And these guys who are, yeah, of course we want sex. What are you talking about? Like, what easy sex versus hard sex? I want to tell people it's not about the sex per se. That it is about relationships. So when I go abroad, I get that amazing relationship, and of course the sex is there too. But I get the amazing relationship, and it's not hard to do, and you get to enjoy yourself and be a human being and be a man and just be normal like a mammal. But if you come here in the United States, it's more like being with lizards. All right, and you're like, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, you're not even a mammal. What's wrong? Like, you're something easy. Like, there's something wrong with your programming. And they keep on going. I'm like, nah. And these guys who are saying like, oh yeah, I come back. I'm with Keisha and Becky. I'm like, really? So you went abroad and you had a BMW, and then you came back and got a used Ford? Really?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see it. That's why I don't even date in the States. There's no purpose for it. I
Yeah.
live 4 miles away from the airport. If I want to date, I just get on the airplane. And I've got a gorgeous blonde waiting for me right now. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Anyway, I just wanted to come up here and give my support to you. Keep it going, keep on slaying.
I appreciate that, man.
Thank you.
I'll see you eventually. See you guys.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
We definitely want him in Atlanta in 2023.
We'll make it happen. Yep.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Theo. I appreciate it. Johnny Walker with the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. He says, why is the current caller he's talking about dual dab, the guy had to beam off the ship. Why is the current caller shaming the brother for living and pursuing reasonable returns with women overseas? We don't shame brothers for running through women stateside. We pat them on the back. Your response, Austin. That's a very good question.
They're shaming because they can't afford to go do it themselves.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Let
me get my man Joel. Joel, you're on the air. Obsidian Radio with Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
Hey, old man, what's going on? Austin.
How you feeling, man?
Hey, listen, young man. This ain't got nothing to do with the sex. I respect the fact that you stepped outside the box and you traveling the world. The pussy, that's just come with the territory of what you doing. And the good thing I like about it, you one of these young guys, you smart enough to understand that you can't take nobody with you, man. I have so much respect for the fact that you just stepped off and you seeing the world. I'm listening to you talking, you learning different languages. I was going to suggest that you go to other parts of the world, which as I'm listening to you, I learned that you have. But I, as a serviceman who immensely traveled the world, I can respect a young guy like you, what you're doing. A few things I wanted to touch on because you brought it up. One of the things that I learned as a man, because I've had a lot of pussy. I've been fucking for years. When I was overseas, man, when I used to frequent some of the red light districts over in Europe and Asia, it's just like you said, different people go to different part of the world. Mm-hmm. I, for one, I don't particularly like Asian women. They too small for me. But again, like you said, white guys, Hispanic guys, Asian guys, men from all over the world flock to the places where the loose women are. And what you're doing, you're supposed to be sowing your wild oats to get it out of you. And see, the thing, what I like about a guy like you're the kind of guy who will have a healthy appreciation for women. And you won't be walking around here all mad and got all these hangups. That's what's wrong with most of these guys. You see a guy that got a poor attitude toward a woman, it's because he's not used to experiencing the pleasures of women. And a guy like you learn how to be more patient and tolerant with women. And you won't let them get on your nerves because you look at them like they buses. Hey, man, another one is coming, in a few minutes. So I'm proud of a guy like you, man. Again, I got my own opinions and points of views on the passport thing. But again, man, the fact that you just out enjoying the world, hey, man, I just think that's big of you, man. That's what I like about what a guy like you got going on. The hell with all the negative stuff. You're supposed to get as much pussy as you can until you get tired of it. And when you get tired, you will slow down and you will get in your lane. But the thing about it, in my opinion, because we have a similar experience, I'm listening to you talk, you won't have this angry, hateful attitude toward the opposite sex, man. So be safe over there because the racial climate, you got to be careful. But we are black men and they want to try to hurt us if they can. But you just do what you're doing, young man. You ain't hurting nobody doing what you're doing, man. And I'm proud of you, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for the call in, Joel. I appreciate it. I'll tell you right now, and I think I can speak for Joel because we're around the same age. I ain't got it out of me yet. I'm still on the roll. Anyway, Chris M with the $5 super chat. He says, caller, stop de-policing. I agree with that sentiment, brother. Thank you so much for the super chat. Y'all keep those super chats, Cash Apps, and PayPals rolling on in. Who else do we have here? Let me get a couple more before we go back to the calls. Let's see. I'm scrolling down, scrolling. Let's see who else we got here. Let's see. Keep scrolling because I want to acknowledge everybody that calls in tonight. That's only fair. My man, Dual Dab with the $5 super chat. That's the guy I had to beam off the ship. He says, "Thank you, Obsidian. Good show. You're a good sport, Dual Dab, but sometimes you just be talking crazy." The Art of Will. You're on the air with Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
Yeah, before I have talk with Austin, I just want to say, love you. You got fire intro in your video, so I wanted to give you a shout out on that. Obsidian.
Thank you.
Yeah, Austin, man, a lot of respect for you. Keep doing your thing. You're the reason why I got back into the red pill. I got out of it for a long time, but you're the reason why I got back into it. Also want to say you are a pioneer in what you're doing. Yes, there are a lot of bros out there, but what you're doing, especially at your age, you know what I mean? That's what makes you different. Also wanted to say at your age at 23, you should, you know, I don't get this dual dab or whatever the heck he calls himself. I'll, you know, double D, right? I'll call him Detective Dick because that's what he seems to like to do. No, bro, you're 23. And the thing is, if you are looking for a wife, you got to have an abundance mindset. You can't have a scarcity mindset because when you have a scarcity mindset, you're going to move a little different. When you have an abundance mindset, then your options get wider and you can then be a little bit more actually could be a lot more picky who's going to be one going to be your wifey. Also, you know, I'm also going to give you some constructive criticism. And I just want to just tell you, man, watch the bros that you hook, the bros that you link up with, make sure their handshake matches the way they speak. I mean, and also your evidence that you don't really need game overseas, man. You don't need, I don't get this. I don't get this idea of having to gain a manipulative edge. You just, all it is, you know, you can't look like a scrub. You can't look like a washed up photographer that's about to approach senior citizen discount age, Alexander DeVoe. You know what I mean? You can't, you know, you're doing you're and everything like that. So, I mean, keep it up. You know, we're going to support you, you know, from the back and, you know, and hopefully we link up sometime.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We sure will link up. As I appreciate
right.
it, man. You know, we'll stay in contact as well. We talk just about every day now. So.
Yep. All right, man. Obsidian, man, thanks for having me on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Matt Tate with the $2 super chat says, "Oh man knows his demo. 850 to Rio on skip lag." I guess you know what skip lag means. Thank you so much for that, man. I appreciate it. Rain with the $5 super chat. He says, "Getting my passport appointment next week. One thing I love about Austin is how calm and sure he is of himself. Thank you, Austin, how you have helped me so much." Wow. Thank you so much for that, brother. Your response?
Yes, I appreciate you for allowing me to have that influence on you. And yes, like I said, I was secure with myself when I left, but I still thought I was a little crazy or something was wrong with me. But went overseas, and now you can't tell me anything. Now, that's why I'm so stiff on my point.
Yes, I agree. Let me get Mr. Fantastic with the $10 super chat. He says, "Appreciate you, old man. Thank you for your service." He says, "Stop the dick police and detectives. Let black men live and explore their options in peace like everyone else." Your response, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, we could say that. It's just I don't know if it'll ever stop though. I don't know
I
if
agree with you.
it'll ever stop.
I think that because many people, I told you about O'Shea earlier, and many people are of the view that you're something of the face of the SYSBM Passport Brothers movement at this point. Young, energetic, good-looking, successful, and it's kind of like you're kind of like what Kevin was in the past few years, something of a daywalker. If you ever seen the Blade movies, something of a daywalker. It's hard to make the case against someone as dynamic as yourself as for why you, as you said earlier, you should, you know, F your life up and just keep dealing with what's on offer here. It's a hard thing to argue against. Let me get Vince with the $2 super chat. He says 304s in the US and 304s overseas. Is there a difference?
I tell you one thing, I'd rather have the 304s overseas than the ones in the US any day. I was telling the dudes I was with, as far as wifing pro, PROSTI, prost overseas versus wifing a regular chick in the States, I'd rather wife the pro overseas, honestly.
Hmm.
I'm not saying I would wife a pro.
Right.
I'm just saying I would if I had to pick between those two.
Right.
Yeah, I would do it.
Very good. Let me get my man Demetrius. Demetrius, you're on the air with Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
Hey, what's going on? Y'all can hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, cool. I'm at work, so I'm gonna make it quick. To the point that was just made about the 304, and I agree with him because one thing about women overseas, they actually want to get out the game. So if you bun one of the chicks, we say bun in DC, but if you wife up one of the chicks in the game overseas, they actually want to get out the game. So, but the women in America, they kind of don't want to get out the game. Because the game, it serves a different purpose in America than it does overseas. Yeah, it's about the money, but it's about the status and all that come with it. Overseas is really just about, the money more so than the status and being in the clubs and all that. But I just want to say that I appreciate what the brother doing. I wish I would have got out there earlier. I didn't start traveling until I was maybe like 32-ish. But I wish I would have got out there early. I'm 44 now. I've been to Brazil one time, and I've been to Colombia many times. But I've been checking out. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. When was the last time? You're 44 right now, so you're roughly a decade younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you was in Brazil?
Oh, man. Honestly, it was in the Olympics when they had the Olympics there.
2016.
Yeah, around that time. Because I was there like the week before, and they were setting up and everything. So it was that long ago.
The reason why I'm asking is because there's an issue with age gap dating here in the United States. There are a lot of black women are of the view. I was talking to Miss Sansaray earlier. She's 42.
Okay.
Her view is a man of my age. I'm 53. If I date a woman that's 23, that's pedophile. Okay.
Right.
If I date a woman that's 33, that's pedophile. Okay. If I date a woman that's her age, she can stomach it. So here's my question. What are the ladies that are Sansaray's age in the late 30s, early 40s? What are they looking like?
Overseas?
In Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. As far as I can remember, and I can speak more so to Colombia, they kind of look like they've been in the game for a while. That's the thing about the women that when they stay out there too long, they do look like they've been out there for a while. Because you're talking about 40 years old, maybe 15 years in the game. Different men, how the whole lifestyle go. So a 40-year-old woman overseas that's been in the game for a while, she don't look too hot. And I ran across a few of them, but mainly the women are in their 20s.
I'm not going to assume because Austin is 23, and I'm going to assume that the ladies he deals with are his age, thereabout, give or take. But if you can speak to that, Austin, your response.
So actually, usually my sweet spot for women is like 28. 28, because the conversation, my level of conversation is not good for somebody my age. There's not a lot to talk about. But what exactly was your question? I didn't catch the question. I missed that part.
No, I was just simply saying that here in the United States, a lot of black women have a serious problem with older, successful black men like me dating women your age. They consider that to be pedophiles. So they want us to date women basically our age. I said, okay. The problem I have with that, women in their 40s and 50s in the black community, is that most of them are not attractive, to be really frank. And I was asking, is that the same situation in Brazil or no? And I don't know if you know or not.
Now Brazil, I was in the mall early, and I was telling the dudes from old to young, they're competing with each other. Like the chicks, I mean, clearly the younger chicks will always win, but the older chicks still looking pretty. I've seen some chicks. I got some pictures of some chicks in their 40s and 50s. If I brought them to the States, they would get snatched up.
But they not in the game. These are women probably that's not in the game. These are like regular.
Oh, you talking about like yeah. They not.
Yeah, I made the difference between women in the game, but I definitely would agree if it's women that's not in the game, they definitely look different because they haven't been out there partying and living their life.
Yeah. Those chicks that still take care of themselves, they older. Yeah, they.
I wanted to say something too, because I know there's other people trying to get up. The brother that kind of was talking about going over there for sex or whatever. And my thing is this, you be in America for a long time and you want to have sex with beautiful women, but you can't because a lot of times your economic status or you're not the popular guy, et cetera, et cetera. Guys tired of sitting on the sideline and salivating over beautiful women in America because you don't have this status or whatever. So why not go to America and experience being with go overseas, and experience being with beautiful women? I don't think nothing is wrong with that, because in America, the average guy does not get to be with what you consider a dime piece unless you have some status or money or something like that. So my thing is, you can go overseas, and it's so crazy because when you get there, you know in your mind that tonight I'm gonna be with a 8, 9, or 10. You know it. It's no stress. It's what it's gonna be like. It's the craziest thing. And if you ain't never experienced it, it's amazing. And even to the point that the brother was making earlier about Thailand, we white men, they go over Asia to mess with children too. Nobody even want to touch that.
Africa,
if you want to tell the truth, the Philippines and Thailand, it's a lot of that going on, but that's not talked about because we don't play. Black men, we don't go over there for that, but they go over there and they be playing that game too. But nobody calls them out on that. Now we over there having a good time with grown women of age, and look what we catching.
Your response. Thank you so much, Demetrius. I appreciate it. Your response, Austin?
I would agree. I mean, even in Africa, there's men doing that. Going over there fooling around with little kids and stuff. But I don't know why when black folks do it, because if you look at TikTok and you look at the majority of women that are pushing back on this movement, they're all black. Like I've seen a white chick and an Asian chick and Hispanic chick here and there, and really they don't respond until somebody asks them directly. But it's only black women that feel the need to go out and say, well, we don't care. Well, look, I don't like Meek Mill's music, right? I also don't make videos about how I don't like his music. I also don't.
You and me both, and I'm from the same hometown, and I'll just leave it at that. Yeah. I agree exactly what you mean.
I don't like his music, but I don't chase him around to tell people how much I don't like it.
Very good point. The L Factor with the $20 super chat says the only reason they trying to judge Austin is because a young black man with smarts, resources, and influence is a threat. Good work, Austin. I appreciate you, brother. Let me get Yimmy. Yimmy, you're on the air. Obsidian Radio with Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
Hey, brother. Let me. I'm gonna shine a light on it. Was my mic too loud?
Yeah, go right ahead. You're right.
I want to shine a light on something real fast because he's getting a lot of pushback, right? So I'm 48. I'm from New York. So this was going on back when I was a teenager. So we always went to the areas where we thought the women were easier. So being from New York back in the days where there was no social media, all it was radio, hip hop, and shit like that. So when you went out of town, I was like, oh, yo, y'all from New York, y'all from New York. So the women was easier. So we would go to Virginia Beach, the Greek Freak and Freaknik. We go to Atlanta. We would go to Myrtle Beach, the Bike Fest. We always get a trailer full of bikes and motorcycles and shit. Then we started going down to Miami, but we always went where the women were easier. And being from New York nigga during that time, it wasn't accessible as things are right now. You know what I'm saying? We wasn't accessible. So everybody kind of stayed in their own state until something came up, and then we mixed. You know what I'm saying? But the women was easier for us being from the city. And only time they came in touch with New York niggas was for like hip hop and Nas and the Biggie Smalls and all the other shit. You know what I'm saying? So we was actually the dudes that they wanted to get with back in the day. So this shit been going on to where men went where the women were considered easier. Now, and another thing for Austin, he's 23. Social media had been out for 16 years. He's coming up at a time where dating market is a mess with these women with social media. So we didn't have none of that shit when we was younger. You know what I'm saying? So it was a little more genuine connect where we just approach women. But now he's in a situation like we talked about on your show many times. Oh, women his age getting flued out by niggas my age who got the money and the power to do whatever we want to do.
Right.
And then the 304s, the OnlyFans, and the 2 million likes and DMs, all this other shit. So how, like, I don't understand these old niggas giving a lot of pushback. because I heard him on the show one time. You was on a I don't want to say the nigga name, but JB. His initials JB. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yeah.
And you was expressing yourself. I wanted to jump in and help you because I see he kept cutting you off, but he wasn't being genuine with his argument for Austin. You know what I'm saying? Being a 23-year-old man, he's in his 40s. The shit was whack. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to chime in real bad because he kept over talking and judging him on what he was doing, like calling him all kind of different names. But a man 23 years old, let's be real. And he's pretty successful for 23. My first business was a barbershop. I'm a master barber by trade. But it's hard nowadays to build yourself up to afford the life to support these women, to do what these women want in America. Let's be honest. Yeah. It's very hard, You know, you're from Philly, so I don't know how you was living back in the day, traveling and shit, but you know how it was back when we was young.
Yeah, you had to make good money. I mean, I have to say, and Kevin, you know, God bless him, he proved it. In black America, black women, they want the whole package, and these ladies are barely fives. Barely. And they want the whole package. They want, plus they want you to wait 90 days. Plus they want, I mean, all of that. I mean, it's hard to argue against that.
It is.
Yeah.
And I feel for the young brothers, but yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
Austin, go right on ahead.
No, yeah, I appreciate it. I think I know who you're talking about when you said JB. Yeah, that dude is an asshole, man. He didn't really have any solid talking points. And a lot of people are running with those talking points he made. Like, he tried to make me, I was a pervert and all them.
All kind of shit, man.
Yeah, because I said I had access to porn at 6. I mean, you got, again, I grew up in a computer age.
Yeah.
I mean, we can call my parents abusive if they watch me to the point where they saw everything I did. So, I mean, I knew how to read and write at 6 and curiosity.
Well, I mean, hey,
around the house, you know.
You seem to turn out okay.
Yeah.
Joey with the exactly. Joey with the $5 super chat says, just say you want to save 304s overseas. What do you say to that, Austin?
I mean, I know some people that do it. I haven't saved anybody yet. I mean,
well, you know what I say to that? I say, yeah, if I wanted to, yes, I want to save the 304s, save the whales, save the manatees, save the Babylonian whores. That's what I say. Edward Anderson with the $5 super chat, he writes, Ty City is talking trash about you and Austin autism, he says. I think he meant to say Austin Holleman over on his Uncut Underground website. Well, you know, Ty City is welcome to join us. If he disagrees with me and my special guest, he's welcome to join us. The link is in the chat room, Edward. Otherwise, why should we be talking about some bitch ass niggas? What do you say, Austin?
That he's just trying to do a shout out just for his page, you know. What was the last super chat though? What did that last one say?
The last super chat about you just want to save 304s. He says, just say you want to save 304s. I say yes. Save the whales, save the manatee, save the Babylonian whores. That's what I say. What do you say, Austin?
Well, it's like what I said earlier. I'd rather cuff a hoe overseas than cuff a regular chick here. Well, not here, but in the States.
In the United States, right? Got it. I don't disagree with you. I think if you got to do it, why not do it overseas? Nuruddin, you're on the air. Obsidian Radio. Go right ahead with my special guest, Austin Holleman, live from Rio de Janeiro. Go right ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Austin. Hey, Obsidian. You guys good?
Yes. Go right ahead.
Yeah. I want to say, thank you, Austin. I mean, my students, since I'm back on the school bus now, they saw your videos. Their dads got them their passports. Their dads got them their passports already. And I used to work in the school system. I inside the school system with the high school kids, and they were dating Brazilian chicks in New York City. I told Obsidian about that a couple years ago, and they're still doing it now. My former students got their sons' passports. Like if they have sons, they got their passports already, and they would come back and tell me, we're not dating the chick from up the block that look like them. They're dating women from overseas and stuff like that. And that's what's going on. They already got their passports for them because they don't want their sons to go through the anguish they had to go through. Exactly. So what do you say about that?
That's actually amazing to hear that you said the kids on the school bus. So how many kids are we talking about?
We're talking 15, 16, 17-year-olds. And I told Al Grease that my high school students put me onto his movie. A 15-year-old put me on the Frustrated. And now, because the internet is so accessible, I was actually watching one of your videos, and one of my students came up to me and said, "Hey, I watch Austin Holleman all the time."
Wow.
He literally said it to me. Yeah, he literally said it to me. I was like, "Oh, well, how do you know about this?" He was like, "Yeah, my dad is helping me get my passport, and I'm leaving the country. I'm dating women outside the country now."
I think that's what the effect of me being young has, because I've only been out of high school 5 years. So
Yeah, well, they're doing it in high school.
Yeah,
They're doing it in high school.
Yeah, it seems more realistic for because I guess a parent is like, oh well, you know, that's just 5 years at the high school versus somebody like Al Greaves who's a lot older than me. They might just say, oh, that's just, you know, because he's older, you know.
Right.
But oh no, somebody younger that's close to your age is dealing with, you know, okay, I don't want you to go through that. We're gonna get you a passport too to try it. See what you think.
Oh yeah, he pulled out one of the students of mine pulled out his passport card.
Wow.
He pulled it out. He pulled it out right then and there. He was like, yeah. He said, I'm not dealing with these girls over here. And if they do deal with them, they dealing with, because I live in New York City. We have a big Brazilian population out here in Queens. So their girlfriends are either Brazilian that actually come from Brazil, or they're Brazilian that are here in the United States, but they're like they're really deeply rooted. They speak English, but you could hear like their Brazilian accents. If you go where I live, because Obsidian's been to New York plenty of times, he can tell you during like the Puerto Rican Day parade, the Dominican parade, and the Brazilian parade, them chicas be searching for. Now they're lurking for black men. There's a woman on TikTok. She said that she ain't dating Latin guys anymore. This is a Latina. The Latinas are now going after brothers like you. They're actively hunting for brothers like you because they see that you're successful. They see that you have the wherewithal. They see that you're industrious, and they see that you make something out of yourself. And I don't understand. I don't understand why men are coming after you. I can see why the women are coming after you. I can't understand what the men are doing.
Me either.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you so much, Nordine. I appreciate it. Go right ahead, Austin. Your response.
The only thing I can think about men coming after me is just it's either jealousy because they can't do it, or they're like that guy that's a virgin that called in. You know, he sounded like a true virgin.
Yeah. I think his problem isn't with you. I think his problem is with Madonna circa 1990. Let's get my man Ash. My man Ash in the building with a $100 super chat.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
And he writes, Austin, I salute you, sir. 23 years retired military veteran stationed overseas many times. Have fun, be safe, do not get anyone pregnant, experience the culture, and enjoy your time. When the time is right, there are many fit feminine wives overseas. Thanks again, Obsidian. Thank you for your service to our great country. Your response, Austin?
I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. It means a lot whenever I see, especially military veterans that come through and say, because I know those dudes have a lot of experience. Them and police. I've actually had a cop that came and approached me when I was in Plano. And that meant a lot to hear somebody like that say that he said I was right about everything.
Wow.
But I won't be getting anybody pregnant. I've learned to wrap it up.
Yeah.
He said when the time is right, there are many fit wives overseas. Yeah. And like I said, I've gotten it all out of me in Thailand. So now I'm not saying I'm ready to settle down now, but I have a vlog coming out tomorrow. It's coming out tomorrow where I was talking about now that it's all out of me. What else?
Right.
And in the States, we know that's not a good question to ask those women. So what else do you offer besides sex?
Oh, but yeah, that what do you in the irony of it, I don't expect you to know this because you're only 23. I'm old enough to remember black women pretty much bellowing that question to pretty much anybody. What do the men have to bring to the table? And I don't knock them for that. Men should be bringing something to the table. But I find it so interesting now that the brothers are asking the sisters that exact same question. Now all of a sudden it's out of bounds. the hypocrisy is just unreal. Nuruddin with the $5 super chat says, "Hey Austin, the young teenage boys on my school bus showed me their passports and told me their fathers helped them get it and that they're gone." Now that was a deep statement. That the dads are helping their sons get passports at that age. That's deep.
Yeah, that's what they got it. I was just telling that it's because I'm a little younger and I have that influence where somebody in high school or graduating high school or freshman year of college can actually relate to me.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of the issue with you in this moment with this, this reignition of this in debate is that a lot of people see you as being ultra relatable to younger men such as yourself and do see that as something of a threat. Let me get Dave. Dave, you're on the air, Obsidian Radio. Go right ahead with Austin Holleman.
Speaking of younger guys, what's up, old man?
How you feeling, man?
Austin? I'm good. I'm good. Hey, man, so check this out, man. So technically, I'm the oldest Gen Z. So I'm 26 years old.
Okay.
6'2". And let's just say I'm within the average viewer salary that old man mentioned earlier, right? And I know you've been traveling and all, but there's recently been a little back and forth in the space between old man and basically the pro-blacks / pan-Africanists. And obviously their goal is to keep everything in the community, including us, basically keeping us on the plantation. And what I see is they're likely forming a narrative that us young guys are being brainwashed by Kevin Samuels and the manosphere. And that's the reason why we're expressing our freedom and exploring options. So my question to you is like, what do you say to that? What do you say to people that would say you've been brainwashed by the manosphere or you are brainwashing other younger guys? When it's simply, they're confirming what we already see what's going on in our personal lives. But what would you say to that whole thing about us being brainwashed?
Very good question, because I was just watching a video recently. Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. He posted about a sister making it clear that she did not want to talk to any man who had, consumed Kevin Samuels content. So this is a very good question. Go right ahead.
Well, they don't like for you to be aware. And I always talk about women wanting to emasculate men. At this point in American society, they're trying to tear down. It's no longer about feminism. It's no longer about let's be equal with men. It's about let's be above men. It's just supremacy, feminist supremacy.
Right.
So they're trying to convince you that you're crazy for listening to somebody like Kevin Samuels that makes sense.
Right. And see, I'm not even a passport bro myself, but it's just the principle of, hey, I'm going to get with somebody because we have the same values. You're not going to put me on the plantation to be with somebody just because we have the same skin tone color. I have the freedom to be with whoever I want to be with. Same thing for you. You know what I'm saying? So, man, shout outs to you, man. Stay strong. Props.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate it. Let me go to my man Brandon with the $100 super chat.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
And he writes, Austin, just like I said in your comments, go to wherever makes you happy, date whoever makes you happy, date and marry when you think the time is right. Enjoy your youth, have fun, and make wise choices. Oh, man, you already know what it is. Indeed, I do, brother. Thank you so much for your support. Austin, your response.
Yes, I believe I've seen him comment that before. And that's what I'm trying to influence other men to do, is to go, you're not happy in the United States, more than likely. If you're watching this content, you can't be happy in the United States. So you do need to go. I advise everybody to go where they're happy and do not get married at 23 years old like a lot of my detractors say.
Wow. Yeah, I can't even imagine getting married at 23. By the time I was 30, I said, screw it, I'm not getting married at all. So that was where I'm at with it. Let me get Azriel. Azriel, you're on the air. Obsidian Radio. Go right ahead with Austin Holleman.
What's going on, Austin? What's up, little bro? I call him little big bro, man. What's going on, man? How you been? You know, I'm in the Discord. I be causing havoc all over the YouTube spaces and whatnot.
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Can't complain. Let me just say this to the people that were saying, why is he not getting married over there? It's like, okay, here's the thing with that. There are more married black men than black women, yet there are more black men in terms of population. I've seen that you have proven time and again with the poll that's saying that black men want to get more married than black women, right? So my concept is this: when it comes to, even for example, I just say 2 words: Lori Harvey. It's like, why are you saying that? Why Austin needs to go and get married before 25? Meanwhile, when it comes to Lori Harvey, they're saying, "Oh, she's young, she's young." You see the dichotomy, or the you when you juxtapose certain situations when it comes to the men and the women in the community. Like the woman, they're able to run free, they could get ran through or whatnot. Austin says, "Hey, I want to deal with better quality women, regardless of if I want to have a long-term relationship with them or not." And it's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Are you marrying these women? Are you building infrastructure over there?" It's like, "Oh, I heard people say, oh, you're not building businesses over there." Like, why the fuck we have to always build Wakanda everywhere we go as Black men? Why can't we just go enjoy ourselves, do what we got to do? And then he said he got it out of his system. Now he can go and build a long-term relationship with a woman. You can't do that here. You have to keep playing the game. Well, we never in any time in history, specifically as Black people, when the last time you heard of your grandparents having to have a dating coach? Sorry about the background noise. I'm in New York. But it's like, when did you ever have a situation where you had to have a dating coach? Obsidian, you said your parents met in the springtime and by the end of the summer they were married.
That's right.
Right? So now look at that. Now your parents, who I believe they're not boomers, or they were the first generation of boomers, compared to me and Austin. I'm 28, Austin 23. It's like we're at a point now. It's like you have to wait a couple days. You can't show too much interest. You have to have these kind of, as we call it, dark triad traits, where you have to, whoever is the more narcissistic person is the one who has power in a relationship. There's nothing cooperative, nothing communal about it. And it's like we have people like Omar Wally, Courtney, are telling brothers, "Oh, you need to invest into the community," but they're not giving you an answer. And the reason why they're coming to guys like us in Austin is because they know that the woman will treat them just like Kevin and tell them to go kiss. They can kiss their ass. That's why they got to plead and beg with us. But you know, Austin, shout out to you, man. You're the little big bro, and
Thank you.
take care, man. Keep doing your thing. I'm gonna see you in Brazil next year.
Yes, sir. I'll be here.
Thank you. Austin is this is getting a bit late for him because it's after midnight in his location in Rio. So we're going to wrap up with these callers that we have right here on the line. We're not taking any more calls, but you can still send in your support via Cash App, PayPal, Super Chat, or Patreon. James with the $5 Super Chat says, so he's saying you can stay here and play with LeBron or go overseas and be LeBron. Your response to that, Austin?
And if you want to feel like LeBron, go to Tyler.
I agree with that. Yashua, you're on the air, Obsidian Radio with Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
Hey, Obsidian, Austin. Can y'all hear me well?
Yes, go right ahead.
Hey, yeah. I don't really have much to say. Everyone pretty much answered all the questions. But what I have to say is that I ain't gonna lie. I was laughing on those last few callers that was saying it's like they want you to be trapped into a system. Like you get married and all this other stuff. And basically, I have to say is that they just don't want to see men happy at all. That's it. They don't want to see men be happy. They just want to dominate. They want to just like have control over them. But when they see, and then on top of it all, like you basically said, Austin, you just said, screw it, I'm just gonna go elsewhere. But what I don't understand is that they getting upset at you that you're leaving when they didn't even want you in the first place. That's what I don't understand. Yeah, and that's I find it kind of like a hypocrisy on that one. And and like the last caller says, like you got Lori Harvey, she was with a good dude, Michael B. Jordan. I mean, I don't know him, but judging for what I see, he's a good dude. And look what happened. Like Lori Harvey stepped out, and Michael B. Jordan's like, what the hell? I mean, I
That's
even
a
got
really
my
good
own
point. I would love to get your response to that. The Lori Harvey, Michael B. Jordan situation. What are your thoughts about that, Austin? Thanks a lot, Yashua. I appreciate it.
It's just a typical American woman that chooses to run over somebody that wants to take her serious. That's why I never took any of them really that serious after a while. That chick, it's hard for me to answer questions like this because people wanted me to talk about Brittany Renner too. Man, after going overseas and just being, zero tolerance with American women, it's kind of even hard for me to respond. Maybe a year ago, I'd have been like, oh, this and that, but I wasn't dealing with foreign women back then.
Right.
But now
So now it's like you don't even give a shit.
It's like, yeah, fuck it. They're just doing more dumb shit.
Gotcha. Don Levine with the $5 super chat says passport teens, passport kids, passport brothers are winning. Your response, Austin?
They are winning, and it'll keep spreading.
Indeed. We got 2 more calls. This is one of the last 2 calls. We're going to wrap up tonight. Passport OG, you're on the air with Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's nice to actually be on with Austin for the first time. So what's good, man?
How you doing?
I'm good. So one of the things, sorry about the truck. One of the things I really like about Austin is that he's young, and I heard a couple of callers talking about young guys getting passports. Guys, get those kids in homestays overseas. You can do that as young as like junior high school. Like I did a homestay in high school, my junior year. I spent 2 years in Japan and it changed my life. Like get your kids, let them see a bigger world earlier so they can get not just out of the city, out of the state, get out of the country.
Absolutely.
And I want to throw this at Austin because we do a lot of talking about girls, but I want him to talk to one, the difference between seeing the fast food restaurants everywhere as opposed to like when you go somewhere that's, that doesn't have the fast food, you get actual natural food. And also I want him to talk about the reverse culture shock when he goes back to America. Okay.
Very good. Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah,
appreciate it. Your response, Austin.
I will say the vlog, I believe it was yesterday, I put up, I went to McDonald's and they had the KFC chicken at McDonald's. It was chicken legs. And I didn't eat them, but the fries that I ate from there lasted about an hour or 2. Anyway, it lasted longer than a regular fry at McDonald's. Wow. So the food is definitely a lot better. The chicken doesn't even look like chicken, or at least the chicken that we're used to.
Wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Let me get Edward Anderson with the $2 super chat. He says 10 to get in, uncut underground for the roast. I think that's what we was talking about earlier with Thai City and all the rest of it. And let's get our last caller tonight. Morpheus, you're on the air, Obsidian Radio with Austin Holleman. Go right ahead.
What's going on, Austin? I was talking to old man the other day. Yeah, the whole movement is going big because I had an ex-girlfriend, we kind of kick it every once in a blue moon. She's a hot mess. But anyway, out of nowhere, I think you might have remembered that I said this to you, old man. Out of nowhere, she just texts me, "Are you a passport bro?"
Right.
I was like, and I played dumb, and I was like, "What's that?" And she explained the whole thing. So it's definitely spreading. She's 29. I'm actually older than her. And so yeah, it's spreading. She's pretty too. Big booty. Most dudes would trip over her.
Right.
So she's having problems. So it's definitely spreading. I haven't left, but I have a lot of people, a lot of close friends that went to Colombia. Had a homeboy that went to Medellin. It's a whole different thing. And your swag is different because my friend that went over there, he's not quote unquote good looking. I guess we would call non-select.
Right.
And one of these girls, she's really fine. She thought she could have all this power over him, but she doesn't understand. He goes overseas. He messes with chicks just as good looking, if not better.
Yeah.
So that power don't work on them. And that's why a lot of them are afraid. Because once you get, I was told I was an Edwards thing. And I said, once you go overseas, that's, look, they're feminine and they're pretty. That's like giving somebody crack. They're going to start getting addicted to that.
Yeah. Right. Austin, your response. Thank you so much, Morpheus. I want to give a chance for our guest to get to bed. Go right ahead, Austin.
Say that last thing he said again. I didn't catch that.
He said that he has a friend of his who's a non-select guy, and the ladies over here that are really good looking figure they got control over him, but little do they realize he's used to the same thing you were saying earlier, ladies that are just as good looking, if not better, and better acting, so it doesn't work on him. And that's what they fear, is guys like that in particular being able to utilize that option. Your response?
Yeah, I heard Andre and Andrea Love Crossing Borders say that he calls them a no better guy.
Right.
Like they know better. That's a good way of describing it. Once you go overseas, you know better than to have to text a woman that you had to set a stopwatch for, or not show too much interest for, or wait 90 days for, or talk to you crazy. That you know better than all that.
Yeah. I agree. Last super chat for the evening for Austin Holleman. Vince with the $5 super chat says, The United States is probably only good for money. Do you think men should get passive income in the States and live overseas? Your response, and this will be the last response for Austin for the night. Go right ahead.
Yes, and that is honestly the best option. And when people say everybody can do that, everybody can do that. All you have to do is get over. We're in 2022. Anybody can make money. Anybody. But why would you let the United States drain your pocket? What I pay for rent at my apartment in Dallas was $1,100 a month.
3 bedroom, 4 bedroom. What's the deal?
That was a 1 bedroom.
1 bedroom, 1,100.
Yeah, and it wasn't downtown, but it was right outside of downtown.
Wow.
It was North Dallas, so it wasn't that far away from everything.
Gotcha.
But $1,100, and I have a homeboy in Thailand, and his rent for a 1 bedroom, the same size, just about, might be a little bit smaller, is $300.
Wow.
Then in Thailand, I was there 16 days. I probably spent on food and drinks $200 max.
Right.
So you're talking, let's say and that was me eating out 3, 4, 5 times a day. So you're talking 400, 700, and then maybe getting around. Everything's pretty much walking distance in that
So
city.
pretty much what you spend in 1 month's rent here in the States, you did that in Thailand.
Yeah, and that's just rent in the States.
Right. That's
You
not
still
everything
got
else.
car note, car insurance. Most people here in Texas, you have a car. You're not getting around without a car.
Right.
So yeah.
Wow. Let me ask you this: where do we go from here for Austin Holleman? You no longer.
Tim Howell for that 5. Thank you, Tim Howell. We're going to be signing off in a few minutes, guys. And this show has been a great show talking about a condition called 304 inflation, nonetheless, hoflation. And it's true, but it's real. And that's why men are getting their passports and traveling abroad, because they're tired of the dating dysfunction here in America. And it brings me with great joy to see men travel and to get women that are quality, women that honor and respect them. Let me tell you guys something. Y'all have the power to change the outcomes in your life if you choose to set standards and boundaries and not limit yourself to the dating hypocrisy here in America. We know that there are a few good women left that are striving to do the right thing, but sadly, it's not enough. So shout out to, once again, my man, Tim Howard. And we're going to end the stream in a minute, but we're going to finish listening to it and we're going to end it. And once again, guys, thank you for everything you guys have done. Thank you for the show tonight. You guys have been awesome. Hold tight.
Barber, well, you're no longer living in the States. Are you barbering in Brazil, or are you going into a whole nother line of business concerns?
If anybody's traveling and they want a haircut, I'll cut their hair. But I'm not advertising that. But I do have a lot of ideas that have been presented to me about stuff like that we're working on. A lot of content. It's a lot of stuff that I'm about to push out because I have to now.
Right.
I'm the type of guy where I'm real risky, so I like to put myself in tough, risky situations like this, where I'm like, I'm moving out of the States and this has to work.
Gotcha.
But I feel like that's when people perform the best, when they have their back against the wall.
I agree with you on that. And we would love to have you at the next Black Manosphere meetup event in Atlanta, September 2023. I think you will be a hell of an addition to the roster of presenters. We're looking forward to having you there.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I can come.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, Austin Holleman, all the way from Rio de Janeiro. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know it's very late over there. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Austin.
All right, guys. So you guys have heard it. Many men are taking it all the way to the bank. Many men are getting their needs met. Many men are laughing to the bank because they realize that dating here in America is done for many traditional men that want traditional women. And that's the power of change. So we're about to sign off, guys, in a minute. Thank you guys for tuning in once again, bringing you guys quality content from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. This has been another good one. Laugh all the way to the bank, guys. Let's do it.
In the dark, watching make light. I'm a star, got no stage fright. Please don't get me mad, I'm a nice guy. My baby say I'm cute, yeah, I'm type 5. I be waking up when you go night-night. In a different song, what's the time? Laugh it to
That's
the
a war
bank
cry
light.
today. Because many men are getting their passports and traveling abroad. Not dealing with toxic women here in America, realizing they have virtue, realizing they have power, and realizing they set the template. 48 minutes after hour, 11 o'clock, once again, bringing to you live from the greatest state in the Tar Heel State. We're about to sign off, guys. It's been another great show. Thank you for tuning in.
I get it up, flip it
No
and
doubt we're about to keep it
continue.
going.
I've been going dumb, I've been going mental. Going up, I'm on another level.
Shout out to my
All
man,
black
James
clothes
Turner.
like a
No
medal.
doubt.
Little this and this, little Ricky Rick. It's my grandmama, I'm her Nicky Nick. I just wanna love, but I've been hit or miss. I might up and leave, then take a pic. Laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha. Laugh it to the bank like ha 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 ha. I got it in 10s, 20, 50, 100s, 10s, 20s.
Spend your money on quality women that will honor and respect you. Head to the bank, get your passport, and drop that money on some woman that's going to love you. So once again, guys, if you have not done it, come see me at coachyourclinician@gmail.com for a non-diagnostic consultation. I want you guys to get you some rest as we're about to sign off. And be on the alert, guys. I got some more fire for your mind coming up soon. Literally this Fire $3,000, man, for in your equipment mind. updates. We're about to take this thing to a whole Kosher other level. But once again, guys, I'm honored to have you brothers on tonight. I do it for the love of the brotherhood. And also, guys, I do it for the love of male empowerment. So go get your non-diagnostic consultation at some point because mental health matters.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at coachyourclinician@gmail.com. That's coachyourclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at coachyourclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
All right, guys, once again, it's been another great one, and we are signing off, guys. Be well. The data is out. 90% of men say that Western women and Western relationships. You want to get your passports. Are you tired of 304 inflation? Are you really willing and ready to change the law of your mind? That passport is a few seconds away. Let's go. Guys, hit that like button on the way out. Where you guys are hitting the hit that like button. Thank you.
In the morning, you got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you're right enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, let's kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say